Hello everyone, welcome to Frame Trap, where we talk about video games and other things, whatever comes to our mind. We've got a lot to talk about today. I say that every episode, but I think we are kind of all collectively hyped about certain things, and I'm really looking forward to those discussions. It's going to get in-depth, it's going to get detailed. It's not going to get heated, because every time I say it's going to get heated, it's just very chill and fine.
Yeah, we're all buds here.
We're all buds. We're all friends.
We got no Bosmans here stirring the pot.
Yeah. No Bosmans to kick the shit.
Yeah.
That probably just made like 1,000 people close the video. But that's all right.
No Bosman.
That's all right.
Yeah. No Bossman, no watch.
Yep. No Bosman, no watch. It's okay. We didn't need him anyway.
It's dead weight.
Damiani.
Wait, before we get started, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
Is
okay.
the fan okay with the noise and stuff? Are we good there?
Good save, Hugh.
You know,
Before we get
it's
2 hours into this?
I didn't notice anything when we were doing the sound check, but
Okay.
just to be safe,
Yeah,
we are going to.
Let's get a safety off.
Yeah, we're
the
gonna
doors open.
we're gonna production values live.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Welcome to the biz.
Sorry about that.
Time out the fan right now, Huber.
Before we get-
600-second fan.
Before we get into this not heated discussion.
This is going to be a nice and calm
No.
Yeah.
frame trap.
We lost the cool.
Normally we have Ian or Brandon to set up things, but we did it ourselves today. So, yeah, all complaints, we can't. There's no one else to throw that on. It's just us.
Yeah.
So we're shutting off the fan just to be safe. Before we get started, how's everybody feeling?
Feeling pretty good.
You know,
Kind of
a lot of
balls
times I feel like we launch right into topics.
Yeah.
You know, and I just want to know how you're doing in your life. Is everything okay?
Everything's great.
Anything that we can address on this show?
The Dodgers have a 2-game lead in the West with about a month to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I like our chances. It's Vin Scully's last year. It's the first time I've worn the shirt, actually. Beth got it for me for my birthday.
That is I haven't noticed your shirt until right now.
Vin
It's a glorious
Scully.
shirt.
He has about 15 games left. It's his 67th year of broadcasting the Dodgers.
That I don't know this man, but that expression that he has on his face, honestly, that is how I envision you
He is
in 50 years.
That is, I wish,
Uh-huh.
because Vin Scully is my favorite human.
In the
on
world.
Earth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How does your family feel about that?
They accept it.
Okay.
They're cool with it.
Okay.
They feel the same way, probably.
What if Vin Scully has like a really dark side to him?
He
though? You
does.
don't know
He
that.
does. He has pretty public information about his life.
Okay.
Yeah. Charitable donations, whatnot, all that good stuff.
All right.
In
Good
the-
human.
In the brief period of time I've known you, and I think Brad can back me up on this, I feel like every Dodgers season is a bit of a heartbreak for you. I watch you go through some pretty intense emotions, and it's
It's
hard to
especially-
see that as a friend.
Especially because I've known you for like 4 years now, 3-4 years.
I don't know.
The last 3 years, the Dodgers have made it to the playoffs and been eliminated each time.
Yeah, and you actually go into mourning.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just like, oh, that sucks.
Get used to this, man. It's
No,
just
and
like
it's
every year.
And it's the most high stakes this year because there's a slogan right now. It's called "Win for Vin."
Ooh.
Trying to win it for Vin Scully on his last season.
Wow.
So by not winning, it's gonna hurt even
Letting
more.
Vin down.
Yeah.
And as a man with Vince Scully on his shirt, that resonates with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
My dream in life is to watch a World Series Dodgers game with Vin Scully calling it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been able to do that in my life.
It's
'Cause
gonna
last
happen
time-
this year.
Dude, I hope, man.
Send your good vibes.
Send your good
Vin,
vibes.
I will
Huber,
weep.
and the Doyers.
This is the last chance.
Boy, I feel like based on everything you just said, like now I have at least some interest in the
Good.
Dodgers winning. You know, like
Good.
I want them to win.
Yeah,
too.
I'm not a big baseball fan at all.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I hope Mike's happy.
I hope Mike is happy.
hope Mike's happy.
Yeah, that's really all I need.
Oh, what do you got,
Do I
Damiani?
have to play the villain now?
Yeah.
Are you like Yankees?
No, nothing to do with the Yankees, man.
Okay.
I am a Yankees fan, but I have no,
Yeah.
not the Yankees here. Like, I really feel for your story. And, like, this is, like, every year of sports.
Yeah.
You can think that, like, there's one team that, like, oh, they got, like, a sob story, got to do it. As much as that, like, was a sob story there that's, like, great, then there's the Cubs.
Of course.
Who haven't won in, like...
1908.
Thank you. And they're, like, have the best season right now.
Yeah.
And, like, this might be their year.
Yeah.
If they don't jinx crap.
Cubs, man, I got no ill will, but you can take 1 year off. It's Vin Scully time. Do it next year.
Welcome to the world of
Please.
sports.
Yeah. There's only one Vin Scully, and this is it. This is the last hope.
I
But if the Dodgers don't win, I want the Cubs to win.
Okay.
For sure.
You can have it. If we don't get it, you can have
Yeah,
it.
you
Yeah.
Take the scraps.
Yeah, I'll pull for him.
Oh, the passion in sports. I respect it. Getting into it, Damiani, what have you been playing? I feel like you and Bossman are the two biggest enigmas. Where like I always have some sort of tabs on what everybody else in Easy Alice has been playing, but you two, I never know. Some random thing.
Kyle's always playing Tetris. I know that much.
That is true.
Yeah.
He is always playing
That's-
Tetris.
What's a week?
It's some dumb game every Monday.
Yeah.
But I don't think he continues to play those games.
He gave up on Dark Souls 3. That's what I know.
He gave up?
He's like not playing it right now.
Why?
I asked for a status report. He's like, oh, I'm not playing it right now. I'm like, what?
He was so into it.
He was far.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Damiani.
Man, is this the point where I get to go on my mini tirade about the original Metroid? And how
Yeah.
It has been viewed through rose-tinted glasses. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I'm ready to hear
Here we
this.
go.
I'm very curious to hear this.
Unexpected heat.
We gotta
Yeah.
set this up. We gotta set this up.
'Kay.
So, information that needs to be known. I have played through the original Metroid in its entirety without cheat codes or Game Genie or anything like that, and beat it legitimately once, just to say I beat it.
Dude, stamp of approval.
So, and it was, but I used guides and stuff. I used the map, like a printout, like on a computer screen.
No map.
I used a walkthrough to explain stuff to me because I was getting tired of getting like I didn't want to get lost.
Okay.
So that was a while ago. That had been a few years ago that I did this back at Game Trailers.
Is the original way harder than Super?
Oh yeah. So I decided to stream it. I was like, I beat this game already. I know about it. Like I beat it a few years ago. I just played through the.
I've
I
fallen
played
into
through-
this trap.
I played through Zero Mission.
You did this with Super Metroid, right?
Super Metroid,
When you
and
full
recently with
playthrough
Mega
it?
Man 2, where you're like, I got this. This is no problem.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Totally gonna be a chill stream.
Yeah,
Yes.
yep.
And I remember when I streamed Metroid Zero Mission, I made the statement like, "Man, this game really does not do the original justice. The original is way better than this." So I streamed Metroid this past Friday. Holy crap! This is like Bloodworth retitled it. Damiani can't handle Metroid. Like I was supposed to stream for 2 hours. I get to the hour mark and I look down. I'm like, do I have to stream this shit for another hour? I was getting so angry at the game, and it wasn't just the difficulty. I was like, some of the chat was like saying stuff, and I'm like, you know what? A game being difficult for the sake of difficult doesn't make it good or bad. But like, it doesn't mean like it's a good game. Like, hey, just like get good and stuff. It's like, no, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. My biggest problem with that game is everyone keeps saying technical limitations. They can't show you a map. So I went right into NES Zelda. I'm like, what's this? That's a map up in the top left corner. I'm in a dungeon. What is this? A map. And I was like, that would have been such an easy thing to add. That would have helped me out so much. Number 2, holy crap. So many of the screens are copy-paste design. And it was like for the world map. And everyone's like, well, your precious Zelda dungeons look the same. I was like, but I got a damn map here. That's telling me which room I need to go to. And stuff. I know if I've been to this screen before because it's on my map already. I was like, Metroid does not do this. I was like, Metroid has some really good ideas in it. Really good ideas that have its time. It's just not a very well-designed game. I'm sorry. Super Metroid is the full realization of that. And I need to replay Metroid 2 because I did play through and beat that as well. My mind right now tells me Metroid 2 is a better game than Metroid 1 design-wise. Don't know about that. Need to double-check because
I hate Metroid.
I'll stop you right there with design-wise that it's so close to Samus. The camera.
Well,
that's a bad design right off the bat. That's the entire game.
I'm talking about the world design.
Oh,
it's mostly
right, the
just going
structure?
back. It's mostly going back left and right because the lava has to keep lowering down and down, so you have to worry about the verticality of it too much. Where
Sure.
you think about Metroid, your iconic rooms are those giant vertical ones that go on forever.
Yeah.
So anyway, not knocking Metroid as a series. Now I know how people feel about Zelda 2 if they don't know it inside out, like someone like me. Well, I'm like, that game's amazing, guys. Like, how can you even think this game is bad? Like, to people who know Metroid inside out, the game's probably not that bad to them. They probably can beat it pretty easily. But to the average person, no, that's not very good, and it's a relic of...
Life-changing moment, Damiani.
Yeah.
At least you took that away from
I
it.
had to go and play Super Metroid during that stream, and I was just like, oh my God, so good.
Do you
so
think
good.
maybe that it's just sort of a byproduct of time and iteration where, when it originally came out, those annoyances weren't that big of a deal because the original Metroid was so forward-thinking, and there hadn't really been a game exactly like that. And, you know, because of Metroid 2 and Super Metroid and later games, like, it's only because of their existence and other games that were inspired by Metroid that Metroid 1 looks so bad. Like, maybe on its own, in a vacuum, for its time, maybe Metroid wasn't so annoying.
I don't know. I think back to when I first played it, and I remember just the sense of, like, don't know where the heck to go and stuff. And really hard. Like, you start... So here's my another gripe I have about the game, is that when you die, it doesn't refill your health. And unless you get an energy tank, everyone's like, farm these regenerating enemies. And I did, like a 5-minute, you can just gif it. I was running back and forth to, like, farm an enemy, and I just said... This isn't good design.
That's never fun.
That's not fun. I'm sorry. Like, that should not be there. And I get Legend of Zelda NES, when you die, you get sent back with 3 hearts. But it's way easier to fill up. You can get a potion to fill up your... I'm sorry, I'm just going, like, comparing Zelda. There's other games that do it better, too. But Zelda's the easiest one because it comes to mind right away. You get a potion. There's the fairy fountains.
Meat, right?
No, meat's used for an enemy.
Yeah, that's right.
But it felt like there were more ample opportunities to refill your health, and it wasn't as much. Metroid, the more energy tanks you get, the more you're screwed when you die. And I get that's like, you gotta be super careful. Like, when you're when you're full health, you need to take advantage of that. But at the same time, just such a steep penalty without... I don't think it's fair. Even Dark Souls, even the Souls games have checkpoints of some sort where you can sit at a bonfire and save. And I get save points were a little bit more difficult back then. Like, Zelda needed a battery back to do that. But they could have, like, the map. I'm sorry, I will not buy the map argument that, like, Metroid 1 is a better game without a map. I think it is a worse game without the map. Like, because if they had made the environments more uniquely designed, if, like, take away technical limitations, if each screen looked very unique so I can tell I've already been here, that's fair. But because everything looks copy-paste design in a lot of spots... It's designed to make you get lost. I think it's kind of BS. So I don't have as much respect for that. And going back to when it was released, probably, I think people probably got a little bit more frustrated with that. But again, really good ideas and stuff. And Super Metroid is the full realization of that. That's why it's one of the best games ever made. So you had to get, like, Metroid out of the way to get to Super Metroid.
Yeah, it was growing pains. Great first step for that series.
I just don't understand. I mean, it's been talked to death. I'm not saying anything new here, but I remember specifically the moment in time when Metroid Fusion and then following that Metroid Zero Mission came out. And unanimously, amongst all people that cared about Metroid, they were like, this is exactly what we want. Just thank you for making the thing that is kind of like Super Metroid. Thank you for doing that. And, like, 10 years later... They just stopped. Like, what? Could we just get another one of those?
That's what they do.
Same
thing happened in Castlevania.
Yeah, but
at least Castlevanias are coming out, even though, you know.
Well, what I meant is, like, they were making.
At least they're making them.
They were making DS, like, the DS Zeldas were all like Symphony of the Night kind of thing,
right?
Which I really love, but I was kind of wanted, like, I was like, can we go back to, like, the first 3 and 4, like that style of game?
Yeah, absolutely.
I never got that.
I mean, I'm trying to think of someone who's done that. Capcom at least at one point went back and gave us Mega Man 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Even though they don't give us any more Mega Mans, but there's precedent for it.
There's quite.
I'm on the same page with you. Like, Konami want to earn some good faith. You know, hey, we're gonna go make another Symphony Night style game for PS4 and Steam and stuff. Here it comes. Or Nintendo's like, hey, you know, sorry we took down that fan remake, but here is a new Super Metroid style game. Or, you know, or Zero Mission style game, totally original, comes out instead of trying to make a 3D Metroid or Federation Force. You know,
like I get companies not wanting to do the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but the thing is like, imagine you did a Metroid like that once every handheld generation or console generation. It's hard for me to envision, at least for the first 3 generations that you adopt that mentality, that would be a bad thing.
I don't know. Nintendo's always had weird problems with Metroid. I feel like they can
Yeah.
never like find what they like. Like they can never be happy with Metroid. I feel like
they don't show the series a lot of love, like
Right.
some of their other
Definitely
quote
does
unquote
not.
like iconic series. It also has trouble finding resonance in Japan for some reason.
really.
Yeah, like it's been, especially the Prime trilogy. like really
Oh.
revered in the West.
Yeah, I didn't
not
care for it.
apparently not so hot in Japan. And for whatever reason, that mentality of a Japanese company, they're like, if we're not doing well in Japan, there's something wrong. So they probably took a look at Metroid, and that's why we got Other M at some point because, yeah, Other M.
Give it to Team Ninja.
Yeah, let's get to Team Ninja, guys.
You know, when Other M was first announced, I believed. Like I thought.
I was down. I was like,
was
yeah,
going
That's
to
cool.
be-
Yeah, like there was nothing wrong with that at all. Just
just didn't work out as we hoped.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was at a time when
Sorry.
you put Team Ninja on the box, and I'm interested.
Different era.
Different era.
For sure.
Definitely different era.
the baby.
Besides Metroid, though, and your frustrations with the original, what else have you been playing?
I've been playing through. Well, I'm playing through a game right now, but it's for an episode of something, so I'm not allowed to
Uh-oh.
say it. But it took up pretty much almost all my August trying
Okay.
to 100% it. Huber knows what it is.
I
Huber
do.
knows what it
I know
is.
what it
You
is
know
now.
what it is. So I'll just say, wow, at a game that like could make me take that long and 100% it.
What a brick.
Yeah. And I will say on a technical level, very impressed with the game. A little late to the party, several years late to the party on this
Better late
game.
than never, baby.
But kind of glad I played it, and I skipped over the previous entry in the series. That might be another hint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
And that one was like pretty revered as well. It's a really huge series.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you that. But that
Get
took
hyped.
up a lot
I don't
of
know.
time.
Get hyped.
I don't know
A
what
lot
it
of
is.
time. Wrapping it up though, finally.
It
Jesus.
pleases me.
Sorry, I like that took up a lot of time, but like
Better be
People-
Dragon Quest.
people get like really angry when I tell them like what the game or
Sure.
subject
No,
is
that's
for some
fine.
reason. Like I
Respect
would
it.
gladly.
But you just
say it.
realized you're just being a giant tease right now.
I
what you
know,
gotta
but
do.
I think
Okay.
it's good.
Yeah.
You know.
Brandon Jones
What
would
else?
be pleased.
Yeah,
He
Brandon
loves
Jones
the
would be
tease.
extremely.
No, I mean
happy.
for the tease right now.
Yeah. He'd be
He
like,
taught me.
good.
Yeah.
He taught me how to tease.
Yeah.
I don't do it enough.
I'm straight to the
I
action.
just give the goods.
Yeah, I'm a give
Yeah.
the goods kind of guy.
That was looking through my Steam library actually of stuff like I wanted to try out.
Yeah.
I was really just what was the Owlboy? It's not out yet, but I saw all the stuff about it. It was finally coming out. I was like, wait, is that out yet? And I was like super disappointed. It's like not yet. I was like, oh man, like this game looks really good. I only heard about it recently, but it's apparently been in development for like what 9 or 10 years or something like
Wow.
I do have
It's
to.
insane.
I do have to ask, how is Shovel Knight going?
that. Oh, I finished it. I did a stream where I finished it. Did you not see
Oh,
that?
wait.
No, I didn't see that.
I did a second.
I can't predict these
I did
Damiani
a
streams.
I did a second stream that was also for Ben, where I finished it and I
Okay.
beat it.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally beat it.
What did you think?
And?
I need Shovel Knight
Yeah,
thoughts.
what the
yeah.
hell?
No, I really enjoyed it and
Okay.
stuff.
Safe.
Yeah.
Safe.
I was like, I tell people like, please make more games like this.
Yeah.
Now everyone's trying to get me to play Axiom Verge because.
Oh, okay.
I heard
this is
lukewarm.
it's a Metroid-like game.
There are people out there that adore Axiom Verge, and I can totally see why. It did not resonate with me as much as I thought it would.
Okay. I looked at I've seen videos of it. For some reason, it just looks a little off to me visually. Like it has a cool retro look, but I think it's more the main character design is. I don't know.
Sure.
Like it's just his proportion, or I don't know if it's a he. It looked like a guy. Their proportion to the world looked a little weird or something too
It's
small.
really small.
Yeah, I was like, oh, there was something a little off-putting about that, but everyone keeps telling me, hey, you like Super Metroid? Like, you need to try this out. Like, go try Axiom Verge. So it's like,
Try it out. Give it a
probably,
shot.
probably be my next game to try out.
Cool.
I do feel like Hyper Light Drifter deserved more fanfare.
Game came and went.
It
freaks me out.
and-
It's still my list to play.
Me too,
Like
but-
I love it. I think it is a fantastic game.
Cool.
I
gotta play it.
And it's a game that maybe not exactly the same level, but I expected some similar sentimentality, like akin to Shovel Knight. Like I think it is like approaching that level of quality in a lot of
Oh,
ways.
wow.
It's much more difficult, and kind of a more involved process than Shovel Knight. Maybe that's why, but that game, the way that it presents its world and how it feels, how it controls, I wouldn't change anything about it. I love it.
Dang.
So I'm very surprised. But moving on.
It's been a weird one, man.
Has
What
it
I've
been a
been
weird
playing.
one?
Okay, so I've had internet trouble for
Oh,
like a
yeah, you
while,
have.
like
Yeah,
no
you have.
internet. So I'm pulling stuff out randomly. Busted out the 3DS.
Yeah!
You ready for this?
Yeah!
I have
3DS
that huge
loves!
stack of games that we got from our game giveaway or whatever we did a while ago. Busted out Adventure Time. No, I'm sorry, Regular Show.
Nice.
Busted out. It's like a 2D side scroller, like in the vein of 8-bit.
Sounds fun.
Made by WayForward.
Oh, that's good.
Pretty good game. Level design's pretty boring though, dude. I played like 40 minutes and I was like, I get
enough.
it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I need to play anymore. Then I played Bravely Second, and I played for 15 minutes, and I went, I'm not feeling this right now.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. I
nothing
really liked...
against the game.
Okay.
No reason. I just wasn't feeling it at
You
the
gotta be
time.
in the mood.
Yeah, I've been
I wasn't.
there.
I don't
I've
think I
been
was in
there.
the mood
Makes
for
sense.
that.
Yeah.
Played. Oh yeah. What's up?
No, it's something that I've been feeling a lot recently. I think my game playing time has been very, very strange as well, where there are moments where I feel like I should be playing something. Like, I think I should be playing Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and I don't doubt that it is a great game. I have no doubt that, like, I will be on this podcast at some point saying how good it is. Like, I know myself. I know that will happen. But for whatever reason, the stars are just not aligned in a way where I want to play that game right now. And it's hard to say that without people thinking that you have some sort of prejudice against it, but sometimes you're just not in the mood. It's as simple as that. Yeah, for sure.
But you know what I was in the mood for? Also, sometimes I get random cravings for this. One of the greats.
Oh, boy.
Demon Souls.
Okay, there we go.
Busted it out, dude. Played for like
Thought you
5
were gonna say some
hours,
Kingdom
man.
Hearts nonsense.
Oh, that game's great, man. It's rough
Yeah.
in some areas. I'm like, they polished it off as it went further on, but it's still a really great game.
Yeah.
Must play for any Souls fans who haven't played it. It's a must play.
It's really fascinating to play now and seeing sort of the genesis of that series and a series that means so much to us and has made such an impression on us. And there are still moments of that game that are my absolute favorite.
Yep.
That I don't think they could get away with again.
Yeah, that game totally has its own unique vibe.
Yeah.
I would say for sure.
It's just really crazy because, like, Bloodborne and Dark Souls 1 and even 3, I might enjoy more than Demon Souls. But
Right.
like you just said, I have so many memories of specific moments in Demon
It's
Souls
because it was
that
the
I
first.
don't have.
It was the
with-
first. That's why.
Yeah.
I
Just these
think-
moments that like I always think about.
Yeah, and I'm always really envious when someone says, "Oh, you know, I picked up Bloodborne. This is my first Souls game," or "Dark Souls 3 this is my first Souls game." You know, whatever they say, I'm always really envious of that moment because even playing Nioh, you know what your tools are and how to approach situations. Like you feel like you're like some sort of tradesman. Like
Yeah.
you're going into a situation, all right, how do I dismantle this situation? Because you've been there. You've encountered something similar in these games. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the consequence of experience. But in Demon Souls, I felt like I never knew how to do anything ever. Ever.
yeah.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
Me
and
and
so
Mike
you just try
got
wild
Demon
things.
Souls the first day it came out, I remember, in North America. And we were just like calling each other all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
What is this?
What is this? What am I
that?
doing? What did you
Yeah.
start as?
Yeah.
Kind of situation going on.
Like, did you find this here? Where do I get this? Where should I go next?
Yeah.
Like, it's been so long
There's
since
a
I've had that feeling in a game.
Totally. And there's a moment in Demon Souls that I will never forget, and it's you're at the start of this area and you see a skeleton. Like, okay, he's got a big sword. He's gonna come up. He's gonna hit me, and then
4-1.
the mother effing skeleton rolls at you,
yeah.
and it's like super fast, and he killed me because I remember when he started rolling at me, I was in such shock.
Yeah.
Like how many fantasy
Giant
games?
sword.
Yeah, and it sounds like a simple thing, but how many fantasy games I'd played, I never had a skeleton do that, and it just totally shattered my like, oh my god, I don't know what any of these enemies are gonna do. I don't know what they're capable of, and it was such a cool, like vulnerable moment that was awesome.
Finding NPCs in the world of Demon Souls was too high stakes for me.
Yeah.
It like nightmares. I'm like, who is this person? What's going on?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
but that was like at the time when I didn't
You didn't know what they could do to you.
I didn't
or-
know what was in store in
Yeah.
that universe, like with these characters. I didn't
Yeah.
know what they're capable
Yeah.
of.
Right.
I wasn't used to playing games
Yeah.
where they would tell me something, then they're just lying to me the
Yeah.
whole time.
Like
Yeah.
Deus Ex. The original Deus Ex coming back. I was like,
Yeah,
dude,
I
this is
didn't.
kinda
I
like
didn't play
Demon
the
Souls.
original Deus Ex, so I didn't I never really experienced anything really like that much.
The other thing that I kind of want to talk about that's related to this is, you know, it came out at a time where there wasn't, I would argue there wasn't a Souls community. right?
No,
So
it wasn't.
you didn't Dark Souls 3 comes out. All the hardcore people have imported it, and they have strats on every single boss in the game. Day
full
one,
guide.
Yeah.
full guide. And
Yeah.
of course, you don't have to look at that stuff. But even just being aware of its presence, I
Yeah.
think, sort of pollutes the mystery a little bit.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing to complain about because it just means that the series is more successful and it's reached a point where there is that fervor, the demand for that type of stuff, and so you have to respect it a little bit. But like anything else, when you get something, you kind of also feel like you're losing a little bit too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like World Tendency.
Still don't know what it does.
Forever.
Tell me, it's been 10 years. I don't know what the hell it is. It freaked
I know
me
what
out
it is,
though.
but-
Every time I died, I was like, World Tendency, dude. It's getting harder.
I think you could argue that World Tendency is the single most obtuse thing
Oh my god.
introduced in the series.
It's
Yeah.
horribly explained. It's
Yeah.
not even really explained.
Probably asked Brad 100 times
Yes.
what it was. It's like, what is
Poise.
Poise is also
Poise break?
a little.
Poise
if
is
you're
like a
not,
newer gen thing.
yeah. Once you have it explained to it, it's pretty simple. But yeah.
God, I remember using the spear in.
The wing spear. I used it when I played.
Didn't
I
use an
just
axe
busted
in
it
Demon
out.
Souls. Used a wing spear.
That first time you meet Patches, man.
It's like, hey, there's treasure right here.
Oh.
Oh, sick. Just kidding. Does it not once, but twice. Also. Also been playing. I know you guys have been playing this Nioh.
Yeah. I was gonna.
I didn't get as far as you guys because I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to play any more of this game because I don't want to know anything else.
I respect that.
I didn't get to the first boss. I got like right to it, and I was like, I don't want to know what this is, and I stopped playing.
I hard quit second boss. I'm blown away you beat it. I hard quit. I tried.
It's hard.
I tried 5 or 6 times and was like, okay, I could. This is the beta. I've already put like 6 hours into this demo.
Yeah.
Like this progress isn't going to carry over. I've got WoW to
but
play.
you get the reward.
I know, and
Yeah.
I wanted it so bad, but I got to that second.
What's the reward? Is it spoilers or anything?
It just says it's like mark of the strong and mark of the champion, something along those lines.
So I got the first
And you just
one,
get some item. In the
Okay.
game.
but I got to that second boss
Yeah.
and just could not do it, Ben Moore. I couldn't beat her.
It's a real bitch.
Like shit.
It
How
was
did you
one of
beat her?
those.
Don't.
It was
say
like no, it's not a spoiler or anything.
It's just a normal fight.
It was
there's
just
no,
one
like,
of those
mechanic.
things that I get with Souls bosses sometimes, where it's like this might take me 8 hours, but I'm just gonna
Yeah.
sit here and do it until it's done.
Yeah, I
You know,
wasn't
and then
willing
after
to do it.
and then after like 40 times, you do finally
Yeah.
do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She like paralyzes you and stuff. And,
That
like,
is the
Oh,
worst
okay.
part
the
about
sta-
it.
like,
Yeah.
having to manage your
paralysis.
stamina in that fight and trying to dodge, knowing when to attack, knowing when to block. There are so many things where if you make one wrong move, I feel like it's over. Because she'll get you in a combo, you'll run out of energy. My God, that fight was unforgiving.
Yeah.
Like I
It
beat the
was.
first boss,
Mm.
no problem. First try.
Oh wow, it took me a few tries for sure.
Second one, dude. I was
Yeah.
like, this is hopeless. This is like friggin' yeah. It's like Demon Souls. Here we go.
I noticed that they made the camera way better
Yep.
in this version. Like I remember I played that. What was it, Alpha or something like that? Dude, it was so clumsy. I felt
It
like.
feels so good now.
Yeah, maybe it was the camera. I couldn't pinpoint it, but I felt like I just moved better.
It felt better.
You know?
It just feels better to move around in that game now.
Like somebody, turned a knob and just
Yeah.
made it tighter.
just tweaked it
somehow.
a little bit.
Yeah.
It feels way better.
And I know you touched on this with the alpha, but I felt like it mattered even more having to change weapons
Yeah.
and change your approach. Like that first area, it's in the first level. There's like you come up and like
Yeah.
there's a cliff. You go up the cliff and to the right there's a ton of guys. Or you can go left along the cliff and kind of
Like
go into a
up, up
field
more.
area.
Yeah.
But going up there, 4 guys rush out and like jump you, and I kept using the sword, and I was like, dude, I'm getting wrecked here. Like I just get swarmed. I can't do this. Died 4 times. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try something different here. Use the spear first try,
Yeah.
and just like having to adapt and change weapons and change stances is incredible because I feel like even Dark Souls has gotten away from that where, I find my weapon in Dark Souls or get my Kirk Hammer in Bloodborne, whole game. You know?
Nioh was the exact opposite for me. I used like one weapon the entire time.
Which weapon did you use?
I used the dual katanas, which is weird.
So I think the best weapons are the spear, the axe, or hammer, since they share movesets, and the dual katanas.
Yeah.
Sure.
I didn't really like any of the heavy weapons in this game.
I
didn't like them.
swear by the axe.
Single sword feels like canon.
Like a more quick build, I guess, seemed more natural to me in this game. Which is, I usually go strength in these games, like first time always.
Yeah.
But not in this one. It didn't feel right for me.
I just like the dueling nature of the single sword.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I totally respect all those opinions. The reason why I'm so obsessed with the heavy weapons in Nioh is because of the stamina recharge mechanic. And I felt like once I got to a point where I could do that like perfectly in every single fight, I wasn't being all that punished for taking swings that took off huge stamina chunks, because I could always get that back, and being able to do the roll that recovers your stamina is another huge. Yeah, it's like once you incorporate that into your combat, it changes everything.
I think the Kirk hammer just ruined everything for us.
Yeah, it's too good.
I was thinking, I'm like, oh, it's not as good as the Kirk hammer though when I was playing. Which is a not fair comparison at all.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
That's not fair.
The Kirk hammer is almost like too good though.
It's too cool. It's too
the
cool.
sword form.
He's like Doom shotgun Kirk hammer. Like
it's good.
Yeah, you're sitting nice.
It's so good.
I think touching on that a little bit, that is something that frustrated me about Bloodborne weapons. Is I loved the flashiness, I loved the versatility, I loved the flexibility that provided, but you know, at the end of my time with Bloodborne, I felt like so many weapons did way too much. Like there weren't that many weaknesses that I could point to with a lot of the weapons, and that's not the case with Nioh. Like what I'm talking about with like the stamina recovery, I felt like I had to play better in order to compensate for the weakness of the weapon, and I think that's a really cool dynamic.
I think Bloodborne has some of that.
Yeah, it does. It does have some of that. It is not completely gone, but I think because of the nature of the trick weapons, it was a little bit less emphasized than maybe your traditional Souls game. I could be wrong on that.
Because there's less weapons.
Think about it for
there's
a while.
way less weapons in Bloodborne.
There are.
They all feel pretty much really different.
Yeah.
Only some of them kind of seem like Saw Cleaver, and there's like the Dex one, I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
Some of them are really different, but every time I play Bloodborne, I use a different weapon. And it completely changes how I play that game every time.
I feel like a different person. I feel like I'm in a movie when I'm using like the Kirkhammer sword form and like clearing trash mobs, and then some big beast walks around the corner and I sheath it and get the hammer out.
It's so anime.
It's
so anime.
Damiani, I've got a lot of questions for you because it's again I'm very confused. So you got to explain this to me. Damiani, you played through Dark Souls 1, refused to go online for whatever nonsense reason, and you loved it. I think it's safe to say that you loved and had great enthusiasm for the original Dark Souls. Dark Souls 2 comes out, nope. Not a peep. Dark Souls 3 comes out, not a peep. Bloodborne comes out.
Wait,
you played through it.
Yeah, so I touched Demon Souls. I finished it. I finished the first world. Most of my experience with Demon Souls was watching Ryan Stevens dance around the office at the import version of how happy he was with video games again.
Yeah.
And hearing him and Miguel and Patrick and talk about that game like nonstop. And I played it and I was just like, it didn't click yet. I was really against and agitated by the combat system, the way it made you play. I didn't appreciate it at the time. And it also didn't help that I wasn't really digging the world because it wasn't necessarily because it was like level based because of the use of the worlds you have to go into. That definitely helped in Dark Souls though, which is why I suspect it might have been that, because I love the seamless nature of the world in Dark Souls.
Yeah, of course.
It felt like there were multiple paths to go at any time. Shortcuts were like even more important in Dark Souls. I felt rewarded for exploring a direction, going that direction, persevering through that direction, and finding like, oh, I could drop this ladder now. Oh, yes, I don't have to go around this whole path again. Yes, I love this. I spent more time, after hearing everyone talk about it, I was like, okay, I need to approach this game differently. It's not Devil May Cry. You can't, no matter what you want to do, like, you can't combo these enemies and stuff with the I hated stamina meters. That was my thing. Like, I just never liked them. I always blame them for being like a crutch that some designers use to just like impose like more difficult gameplay challenges with the combat system. I was like, if you didn't have a stamina meter, then it would require them to have to design, but obviously that's not true because, you know, Souls games have some of the best bosses and enemy designs in gaming. So yes, I really did like Dark Souls, but it was more for the atmosphere, the seamless world, and it was enough time after Demon Souls that I decided, like, let me give this another chance in terms of, like approach it with a different mindset in terms of, like, how to play this game. You need to play it differently. And that's why I enjoyed it. Dark Souls 2, I think the problem with Dark Souls 2 is I heard too many negative things about it before I touched it. And I was really weary. I was like, oh, no, like, it's not as good as the first one. And I was like, these games are, like, really hard for me to, like, take that first step into getting into. But for some reason, Bloodborne, everything I saw about Bloodborne was like, yes. Like, yes. Like,
Just like Jones.
I was like, this looks like, the atmosphere looks like Resident Evil, like old Resident Evil, but like Souls combat system. I was like, okay, we're doing this. And Bloodborne was probably the one I put the most time into. I really enjoyed it. Like, I played through it multiple times. I wanted to get like what are the fetuses or the
messengers?
The thing to get the real ending. You know?
Umbilical cords.
Oh yeah, the umbilical
Sorry,
cords.
thank
Okay.
you.
It's alright.
Like there were like 4 in the game. You could get 3. You need 3 of them to do that. I did play multiplayer in Bloodborne because everyone's like, dude, if a boss battle is like too hard for you, summon somebody. Like, that's a mechanic. Like, it's there for you to use. So, like, your partner might suck and it might have been a waste of time, but they might be good. And I was like, okay. And there are at least 2 bosses in that game. I'm forgetting the names now. The one where you have to like go down like a path into like a cathedral, and it, like at the end it had like poison mist around it. In Bloodborne, and
Bloodstarved Beast.
Yeah, like that one.
Yeah,
I actually soloed it on my second playthrough, but the first playthrough I was like, I need someone. And then the white demon, like the fox one, or the it was
Vicar Amelia.
Yes.
Yeah, the wolf. Yeah.
That one I needed somebody for. I would get like 2/3 of the way through, and I was like, just don't have a chance. Like, I need someone to help me finish this off. And I enjoyed that. Like, I liked having someone to play with. I think with Dark Souls, you asked me like why I didn't want to play online. I was wary of people trolling with the comments. I saw like they'd be like, jump here or do this. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do it. I get that people love that.
But that's also you.
That
like,
is you. Yeah. You can't take your own medicine, dude.
Yeah. I was like, the game already is me. I don't need an added layer. I don't really like Damiani squared here or some crap like that. I was just worried about that, but I got over that. Like, I don't think that. And then
that's good to hear.
Wait,
this is very interesting.
So I haven't touched 3 yet, but everyone's saying it's really good. So
yeah.
Did you play the Bloodborne DLC?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
I played sound.
I did the game. I did the Chalice dungeons or I like playing through those. I mean, I played a ton of like it when it came out. Just
haven't gone back.
Didn't jump into the DLC.
Circling back to Nioh, I think it's safe to say that we're all pretty hot on it, and I think it's really cool.
Jones is like more than Bloodborne levels.
Yeah, Jones is through the roof right
Jones
now.
is freaking out about Nioh, Ben.
I love Nioh, and I don't know if I could envision any world where I say I am more than Bloodborne. And I love it.
I feel like
core.
Jones is
love
like
Nioh.
He's in the zone now with that type of game. He's into them now. Like he wasn't into
Jones
those before.
zones are scary.
Jones zones are they're strong.
He's in the deep end with Nioh.
Have you guys seen his trademark clip from Dark Souls 1 that we had from him back at this is when we streamed before Twitch. We streamed on Ustream.
You did. You made him
Taurus
play.
Demon.
Yeah.
Taurus Demon. Oh, it like falls off, right?
And he does like a back jump off.
Yeah.
Jones' celebration.
Yeah.
But I think that was the moment that sealed the deal for Jones. He was like, yeah. I was like,
I remember.
God.
He felt it.
We
Yeah,
created a monster.
Yeah.
But Damiani, do you think does Nioh call out to you in any way?
I mean, I guess I don't want to play I wasn't interested in playing the alpha or the beta. I guess I'm waiting for the actual full game.
Sure.
Kind of feeling it out.
Historically, I'm a little wary about playing early access or betas of games. I think I've even said it before. Like, even going to E3, there's very few exceptions where I actually want to play part of a game and then have to wait a year or more to like play the final thing.
I agree.
I hate that.
Me too.
About stuff. I think like Zelda is like one of the few exceptions because I need to know about it because everyone's going to shove it down my throat. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, if I don't play it, I'm still going to have to deal with it anyway. But I just hate playing a sample of a game and then not getting to play the rest of it. Same thing with, like, watching television stuff. Like, I love, like, Netflix puts everything on there. Thank you for Netflix so much. Having to wait week after week for shows, it's great to talk about.
Come on.
But, like, it hurts so much
Night
inside.
of. Come on. You watched the Night of, and I know you were watching it week to week. You didn't like the week to week, like, conversation and mystery
I
of
do,
it
but at
all?
the same point, it's like, I don't know if I might have just wanted to watch it all in one and then just have, like, a binge discussion with someone. Like, Game of Thrones, that week to week's amazing, but if you had it all at once...
It's also terrible.
If you had it all at once, and then you just had, like, the next week of, like, discussion, because... I don't
love
know.
sitting on it.
It's such a hard balance. But like I skew towards or I lean towards I'd rather have it all at once than rather make me wait because there's those cases where something might not be finished.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we didn't have the TV show for Game of Thrones.
Can I make a case for why the week to week is awful in Game of Thrones?
Oh
Yeah.
God, here we go.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I this is coming from a dark place.
Do it.
Okay?
Do it.
So I love it. Game of Thrones is my favorite TV show, whatever, blah blah blah. There are moments where I feel so disappointed, like I feel like it was a wasted week because Game of Thrones it's not just one story focused on one character in one place. It is, all right, we're going to tell a bunch of different stories all over the world, and some episodes will focus on some characters and some episodes will focus on other characters. When I get an episode where I'm just sitting around, dicking around in Dorne, I'm like, holy shit, I waited a whole week for this.
Here comes Dorne.
This is terrible, or I have to watch Daenerys do fucking nothing for 3 years. I get
Dorne,
really
man.
upset when I could be hanging out with the Hound.
But
you know?
but
And it's very upsetting.
Ben, you've come to me so many times, and you've been like, dude, simple conversations are like Academy Award winning 10 out of 10 in Game of Thrones. Just basic conversation between two characters that like really doesn't amount to anything, but these characters are interacting.
Absolutely,
Like-
and that used to be true. Like I've watched season 1 like 10 times. Every episode,
Yeah.
there's a conversation that really doesn't mean that much, but is fascinating because of how it's written and how it's presented. And season 2, I would argue, even has a lot of that, especially with Arya and the Elder Stark, or not the Elder Stark, Tywin Lannister, not the
those are
Stark.
so good.
Yeah, Tywin Lannister. Sorry. Anyway, but I feel like, you know, as time has gone on, especially with seasons 5 and 6, there's an inconsistency there. And while I think season 6 was much better, there were definitely weeks where I'm like, wow, I don't feel full in the way
About
that I
those
did.
payoffs. Like
Yeah.
when nothing happens on a week, or like stuff still happens, but when it's a slower week, I'm just like, all right,
Huber.
you know, digest that.
Your patience
Let's
is
see what
astounding
happens
because
next week.
I've had better, like Fargo, for instance.
Yeah.
When I watch an episode of Fargo, even if it ends on a dramatic cliffhanger, every bit of it was so good that I'm like,
Definitely.
thank you, I will wait for my next portion. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
Is there less going on in Fargo than the show?
no, I
haven't seen
wouldn't.
Fargo, so
I
don't
mean,
know.
let's.
Like it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to cover
There's
so many bases.
much in Game of Thrones. There's like a million people.
But
It's
I
like
mean,
the biggest cast
I
ever.
think it's sort of like scope versus depth.
Yeah.
I would say
The depth
there's
there.
maybe not, you're not going all over the place. You know, it's not a globe-trotting adventure, but what is happening in these places is exceptionally complex. You know, so I don't know. I love that accomplished two things.
The reason I'm so patient with stuff like Game of Thrones and with shows in general is because it's all about the payoff for me.
Yeah.
No matter, like, I will sit there week after week if the payoff is worth it. Like, that is the factor of, like, is this my favorite show? Is it an okay show? Like, it's
That is the
all
opposite of how I
about the
consume
and like
shows.
because I'm also enjoying those moments where I'm just like, dude, I love this so much.
But haven't you watched
And
a
just-
show where it felt like the entire point was the payoff and everything leading up to it was kind of filler? Like
Yeah, and that's a terrible show.
That's a terrible
but
show.
I think Game of Thrones doesn't have any filler. Like you said so many times, when people are having these conversations,
No, I hear you. There's a reason Game of Thrones is my favorite show. That's why I'm so hard on it
Yeah, of
sometimes.
course, of
is
course.
because they're like,
I mean, episodes are better than others, but I still don't feel like there's a lot of wasted time.
when I think about Hard Home, I want to just scream. I just want to just let out my love of that
Yes.
episode, for instance, right? Like that That is
think
perfect.
about how long it took
And
to
so
get
when I have
there.
to deal with the goddamn sand snakes, you know, like you
All right,
can't just deal with
Dorn-
those swings.
Dorn is filler. I'll give you that, but
Yeah.
everything else I feel like is way worth
You
it.
don't know about the ship of abandoned plot lines, do you?
I do.
Not to turn, we are getting way off topic.
Disregard
But it's okay. It's part of
Frame
this
trap.
show,
That's
but
what frame trap
the
is.
other part of it is talking about Nioh. There's one last thing I want to say about Nioh that I think is very important to me. Anyway, it's important to me. Maybe it's not important to anybody else. And you know, you hear talk about Nioh, and the first thing that's brought up is, well, this is like Souls. You know, this will be great while we're waiting on Bloodborne 2 or whatever From Software does next. And I get it, and they're totally right. That is a comparison that makes sense because it's true. There are a lot of similarities. But I think the reason why I'm so impressed and in love and obsessed and can't wait, I will be there day one, second one of Nioh, as opposed to other Souls-like games, and I always think of Lords of the Fallen or Salt and Sanctuary, is that I feel like Nioh is an actual permutation of the idea of what Souls is, whereas I feel like Salt and Sanctuary and Lords of the Fallen are just trying to be that.
Yeah.
They're approximating a better experience, whereas I don't think Nioh is doing that. Nioh is taking something and saying, all right, we're gonna make this different. And I think the way they do that is Nioh is almost entirely focused on combat. And you could argue that the Souls series is focused on combat as well, but you have those moments in Souls where you're trying to figure out what this place is, or where you're supposed to go, or what you're supposed to do. And there are branching paths in Nioh, but these branching paths just lead to arenas with guys. And you fight a lot of the same guy, and it's about how much you can deal with. And it's about trying out new combos. It's about, you know, getting that familiarity with your weapons. There's a focus on fighting things that's so prevalent. Like, and even the structure of it. You know, you're not in this huge interconnected world. You're going to these little slices of places, and kind of seeing how they can change the combat a little bit. And also, you're doing a voice character who has a specific purpose.
Thank you. That's what I was just gonna say.
And when I'm playing it, I'm not thinking, all right, what are all of the things that I've learned in Souls that I can apply here? That definitely helps. It's definitely not useless, but it's more of, all right, I just learned this technique. How can I do it? When can I do this stamina recharge thing? Like, I'm specifically thinking about Nioh itself, and I think that's so much more impressive than when I'm playing Lords of the Fallen. I'm like, this is just a shittier version of something I've already done.
I'm glad you brought
I
up
think that's really important.
the protagonist, William, because
Yeah.
if it was just another create your avatar, you know,
Yeah.
we're going to give you some ambiguous story, I think it would be more in the shadow of Souls. But the fact that I'm playing a guy with a narrative, like, separates it even more, you know, and it's just easier to kind of go in and not have the baggage of Souls and Bloodborne and constantly comparing it and stuff.
And I feel like there's sort of this inherent Tecmo Koei-ness to it that they didn't abandon. And I think that's actually really smart.
Got that vibe.
You have a fucking super meter where you can just wail away on dudes if the meter's full.
Yeah,
you know?
you could change it like your guardians or gods.
Yeah,
or something like that? I don't
You
quite
have these
understand it.
spirits that basically give you like elemental attributes that, like, all right, my meter's full, now my thing's on fire, and I wail away. That's such a like character action game.
Yeah, that's
thing.
like very double trigger.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, exactly. And
like cool subtlety of it when you get hit.
right, your meter goes down.
That's
right,
so
and
cool.
so they're taking things that they've already done really, really well, and they're grafting it onto this sort of Souls template, and it has produced like a fascinating result.
Yeah.
I mean, you're learning like a Muso game. You are learning new bits of your combo, and you can customize your combo, and it works, and it's fun, and it's different, and it's exciting. Like, I really think when all is said and done, Nioh could be one of my favorite games of the year. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
In a
definitely.
year that has had a lot of great games.
Yeah, for
Easily.
sure.
For sure.
That
So-
beta, man. Couldn't get enough.
I was
Couldn't get
really
enough.
impressed with it. Yeah.
Steak.
Well, they also gave you like 10 hours of stuff to
So
do.
much to so long.
Yeah.
2
Jeez.
missions,
Yeah.
side quest. Crazy.
It's crazy.
We gotta move on to the big boat. The big
we
boy
gotta-
of games that we've been talking about. The big boy.
Okay.
that we were going to do a separate video about,
Yeah.
but we thought we should hold it off.
Yeah. This is a long conversation. Well, let's make that the last point.
Okay.
We'll almost make that
Okay.
its own segment.
Okay.
Let's get
Fair
through.
point. Huber now.
Yeah. Let's get through the little guys. If you have little guys.
I got bricks, but the good thing is I haven't played them that much,
Okay.
so the conversation won't be long.
Okay.
I've had the chance to play Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty.
Oh
Call of
boy.
Duty.
I've played them both, baby.
Okay. So I've played some Battlefield 1, so I feel a little bit connected there, but I don't know what to expect out of Call of Duty here. I mean, outside of
Yeah.
what to expect, I guess. Yeah.
Feels similar, but with a little more creativity and depth in each encounter.
Which
I
game are you
really
talking
like.
about?
Call of Duty.
Okay.
Because I don't have much to say about Call of Duty because I was only able to play it for legit like 40 minutes.
You just played campaign?
multiplayer.
Oh, okay.
So there's 6 classes now.
How many were there? There was classes before, right?
In
last
Black
one?
Ops 3, yeah, but so
Specialists.
The thing in Black Ops 3 is it didn't really amount to anything except for one super ability that each class got. So really, they were all the same except for your one move.
Mm-hmm.
This time, you get 6 classes. They each have 2 different specials,
Okay.
and they each get 3 different perks. You can choose 1 special and 1 perk per 6 classes. So let me give you an example. The Merc class, which is my number 1, giant defensive class. Okay.
What a surprise.
When you're emphasizing defense in Call of Duty, you got me on board. Like, I'm down for this. It's not all run and gun SMG guys.
That's cool, yeah.
So there's defensive class. You can choose between this Ghostbusters gun, like proton cannon, or the Riot Shield.
Mm-hmm.
When you do the Riot Shield, it's Reinhardt charge, barreling
you
down the
actually
hallway.
charge?
You charge, barrel down the hall. It's your special, so you only get 1 shot. But you barrel down this shield. You're like invulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to move, like Reinhardt's charge, and it's like a 1-shot kill. The Ghostbusters gun is cool because it's like a battery pack. You get a ton of ammo, and it's just like heat-seeking, like suppression. And then there are perks that can make you regen faster, that give you more ammo. So there's just more nuance with all the classes that set them apart.
So there's unique
from
weapons for each class, right? That
The
only...
special. Only
That's
the
it?
special.
Oh, okay.
We're still Call of Duty, get your loadout, you know. But the added depth on top of Black Ops 3, because I wanted that more out of Black Ops 3, other than just like, oh, you got your 1 move, they've expanded it a little more, which I really appreciate. There's crafting now. You earn salvage, so
I'm
there's
out. I'm so out.
Yeah, so there's some
Quality
Overwatch.
crafting.
There's some Overwatch in it. Now there's some Destiny in there. You earn salvage per maps. There's 4 different rarities, like common, rare, super, legendary. Legendary weapons.
You are killing me right now.
Yeah, this is crazy. Legendary weapons have added perks. So they went through like the sniper rifle where it was like, all right, normal is basic. The next one up is like more ammo. The next one up is enemies are outlined. The next one up is enemies are outlined with less recoil. So there's like more stats. Yeah. And just like different. That's about it. And then it feels like Call of Duty. There's still the movement. One thing I want to point out randomly was sound. Battlefield has always been best in class to me in sound design. I feel like Infinite Warfare is closing that gap. The sound was really incredible just right when I started playing. I was like, okay, here we go. This sounds really good. The new mode was cool. It's like a keep away. You get a ball. And you can throw it to your partner, but you can't shoot. So it's cool because you can like throw it on the ground, get your gun out, shoot, pick it up.
So it's like
throw it to your
capture the flag. You can pass to people
with pass. Really
That
cool.
sounds like the mode they introduced in Ghost.
They had one where you would like shoot it into. This is just keep it.
Oh,
Hold
okay,
it.
okay.
Cool mode. Just a lot of fun because you can bait people, throw it on the ground. You see their whole team come, you shoot them in the back. Just some creative stuff, but you know, exactly what you've come to expect in Call of Duty. If you love Call of Duty, you will not be disappointed. As far as the loot goes, that is going to be a divisive, very, very divisive thing. You're probably going to be able to buy salvage. Again, that's theoretical. I have no idea. My guess would be you buy salvage to craft.
Yep.
But it just adds more longevity to people. The people that play, the people that are consistent ranking up. I just think it's an extra carrot on the stick.
But I can't really think of a better word for it. Don't you think that's a really lazy way to add longevity? You know, like
They're just looking at Destiny and they're looking at other like MMO
Grinding.
loot games.
no, it's like people got in a room and they're like, well, we got to make another one of these. Let's put color-coded loot in. Like,
But they look different
What?
too. I mean, there's
Yeah,
that
oh, yeah,
sense
like,
of
but-
sense of uniqueness that I love.
but it just, I think, in a really cynical way, it just,
Yeah.
you know, there's already a bunch of filling up meters
Yeah.
in that game, and you know, initially that was what set like Modern Warfare apart is that sense of progression and
Yeah.
these RPG mechanics. But now it's almost like if you're putting in loot and salvage and crafting, now it almost feels like a parody, like.
It does.
You like
Well
there
done.
are only so many numbers I'm willing to fill up.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
And then you can choose one of 4. There's a lot you're leveling up now too. There's like 4 groups that you can join, and each group
What?
gives you points based on what you do in the game. So some are like, join this like warfighter group and get kills to level it up. Join this one and win matches. That leads to unique rewards. So sure, it might sound discouraging, but at the same time, like, I love unique loot. I love being different than other people in games. Like in World of Warcraft, I love having different stuff.
yeah,
This seems like a step in that direction. Because, you know, when everyone's rolling around with the same gun, the same skin, like, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
well,
So I feel
it's
like
it's
this is
interesting to
maybe-
see how the meta will affect it. You
Yeah.
know, if they actually accomplish like no, there are going to be a bunch of crazy things and
Yeah.
it'll all be viable, or if everyone's running around at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
What
It's
I'm-
too early to tell.
What I'm nervous with that is if you can buy crafting stuff,
the salvage points.
pay
Yeah.
to win. You get
Don't-
better stuff.
I'm nervous about that.
That's what I'm nervous about.
Seems
I'm
like
fine.
a-
Whatever. If you want to customize it and everything, that's
Yeah.
totally cool. Whatever.
Seems like an easy thing to throw a little micro transaction in there, and that is sketchy. But we don't know. We
We
don't
don't know. Sure.
In a way, you made me think about Battlefield 1 because when I
we're
think
gonna
about
get into it, baby.
my experience with the Battlefield 1 beta, what I'm not thinking about is like these systems or these mechanics. I'm thinking about like that one time I went on a tear on a horse
Yeah.
and like how fun that
Yes.
was and how I'd never done something quite like that before.
Yeah.
When I got in with a bunch of random people in this giant tank
Yeah.
and there were 5 of us in there and we just went from point to point like
Yeah.
that's what's exciting to me is I want to
too.
have those moments. I don't want it to be so like blocked by these systems and this artifice that like everybody's just worried about that rather than having fun in this video game.
Yeah.
you know?
So I've always been pro Battlefield my whole life since 1942, and I've been pro Call of Duty as well since the original on PC. Like I don't like when these games go head to head and it's like some dogfight of like this is better, this is better. They're so different from
yeah.
each other that I love that they can coexist, and I love playing both. Played Battlefield 4, played Call of Duty Black Ops 3, had a grand old time.
Not only that, but this time you have like complete opposite sides of time and
Yes.
space. Like
Yeah, exactly.
World War One and in the future.
They coexist in my world. I love them, you know. But Call of Duty is still the same core. You're still alone in a team game, in my opinion. The defensive stuff is kind of trying to make it
Move
more
away from
team
that, but-
focused, but it's still.
I feel like
you're
if-
running and gunning through hallways with your machine gun.
I
That's
feel like
it.
if they drift too far away from it, though,
Exactly.
their core audience that probably likes that.
Exactly. Battlefield 1. So different than 3 and 4. Oh my god. I have had, like, you need to change your approach. Like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
game is so... It's... Sure, the core is there, but, like, it is a totally different game than 4, man.
So I there's something I really want to bring up that I saw
Oh.
online. People were complaining about the Sinai Desert map. And
Love
okay,
that.
no, I love it too. And here's what I want to get into.
Yeah.
Is they're like, well, I spawn. I'm just in the middle of this vast open desert. I'm just getting sniped. And I'm like, that's beautiful. You don't understand. Like, so like shooters are so afraid to do it. They've got to give you like your precious little safe spawn point,
Yeah.
and they've got to give you these choke points where this is where we want the action to happen. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
you're in a war.
Yeah.
You spawn, your head
Unforgiving
gets
game.
popped off. Yeah, and it's this chaos.
Yeah.
And it's this fear of like you don't know where you're gonna get shot
Yeah.
that I think really approaches that feeling of actual warfare in a way that so many shooters don't
They're
touch.
everywhere.
And it creates, out of necessity, it creates these moments. Like I was in this very open, bland part of the desert. There was nothing around, and there was a guy sniping me, and I took a bunch of damage. And then there was a crater, there was a crater created by a
Jump in there.
tank that wouldn't have been there in most circumstances. But I had to like jump from crater to crater to get
Yeah.
to this guy to kill him.
Heck
And
yeah.
it's like if you had made it easy on me, or if you'd
Yeah.
made me feel safe right when I spawned, then I wouldn't have had that moment.
And I
you
think
know?
that freaks a lot of players
It
out.
freaks them out.
Is that you don't have all the tools at all times to
Yes.
deal with everything at all
Yes.
times.
Yeah.
Period. Like, you're gonna be an anti-tank class. Like, sorry, a sniper's gonna get you, or you're gonna be a sniper and a guy with a shotgun's gonna roll up on you.
Right.
Like, you're gonna be at a disadvantage. You need to adapt in each situation and kind of choose what you want to
Absolutely.
do.
How cool is it when you're
Absolutely.
ill-equipped, when like a tank
love
comes
being
out of
ill-equipped.
nowhere? It becomes such a threat.
Yes. And
oh my god.
so a couple of big things I want to talk about before we move on.
Notes.
I took some notes, dude. Passionate about Battlefield,
Bloodworth.
man. Artillery emplacements are way more important than they've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a mounted machine gun on a map or mounted artillery on a map, these things have always been kind of filler.
Abandoned.
Like 1942 back in the day had maybe some like mounted machine guns at some points that were good, but they are so much more important now because tanks are so dominant that they really help, especially if you're not equipped with anti-tank. Like getting into these artilleries and using the map strategically to take out tanks is a really nice added dimension on the game. Like you were saying, getting sniped in the just like when you're in the desert, like getting from point to point and getting into the city
Yeah.
is a really good feeling, because then the snipers are at a disadvantage. Like going from room to room, getting in there with your machine gun, like these close quartered environments, it's a completely different dynamic. And then there's like that cliff area. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
I do.
Where
That's
it's
a
that
great
canyon,
area.
The
That's a great area.
canyon. There's like so many nooks and crannies within the cliffs for like sniping opportunities, for grenade opportunities. There's just like so many areas in there that's like a whole nother game within itself.
I had this moment where there was a guy running upstairs into a building, and I shot at him, but I didn't hit him in time to when he got in the building. I'm like, oh, I'll just throw a grenade up there. And I threw a grenade, and I blew up the stairs.
Yes.
And so I made him safe. I couldn't get up the stairs to where he was.
That's
and
so
I was,
cool.
it was like when I was first, it was my first like 10 minutes of the beta. I'm like, oh yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
so cool.
Oh, it
And
was
then-
just great.
Like giving you less information as a player too. Spotting was ridiculous in 3 and 4. You would spam Q in the general vicinity of someone, spam it, they'd be visible. This, you have to be directly on them in your line of sight, like do it, and
Yeah.
it's still smaller identification. So it's just like people are a little more hidden in this. And then just vehicle classes now. You can't just get a sniper, spawn in a plane, fly to a base, jump out, have your sniper rifle. Like, you become the vehicle class. So if you're a pilot and you jump out, like, all you have is your little pistol.
yeah.
You're kind of at a disadvantage. And that's cool. It's like freaking Owen Wilson behind enemy lines. Like, this air fighter
Oh, yeah.
isn't going to be some crazy, like, on-foot soldier. So I love it. And tanks are a threat. And I think, as I've leveled up a little bit and bought, like, the anti-tank and the mines, like, it's become a little bit easier to deal with them. But they're still a threat. Like, you see a tank, you don't have stuff, run.
Better run, yeah.
Right, even like that's been the case throughout the
Battlefield,
franchise.
yeah.
Like, I see a tank, peace, running away. I'll go attack that base instead, where this tank isn't. And the cavalry is incredible, like saber charge. It just feels so refreshing from traditional Battlefield.
Which it needs, I think.
Yeah, I'm blown away. I'm in love, man.
Yeah,
As usual, I've never played a bad Battlefield. Hardline was the worst because it wasn't DICE, but it was still an okay game.
This is the first time since Battlefield 3, I think, that I've been privileged
Yeah.
enough to play it on PC.
PC?
And I think somebody else said it best. There are moments that are just incidental and like mundane moments in the match that feel like a set piece.
Yeah.
Like when that's on PC when that storm kicks up, or the plane, like just the way that it looks and how smooth it's running and all, like it's
like being on a horse riding through the desert, seeing a dogfight happen right by you, plane explodes down, tank comes rolling over. It's like unmatched and like
it's like your own little movie.
And it's infinite.
Yeah.
Because we played Battlefield 3 and 4 for like years at a time, still surprised.
Yeah.
Every time you
Still
boot it
fun.
up, still some dynamic, crazy thing is going to happen. It's unbelievable. I love it.
Do you think it's gonna be off-putting to people? Because you keep mentioning how like different it
It's
is,
unforgiving.
but in a good way. Do you think there are gonna be players who are used to the older ones that are gonna be like, this isn't for me? Because you already said like people are complaining about being sniped in a desert map because I'm not spawned in a safe location. Which is clearly the intention of the game's design. Like, yo, this is welcome to war. You know,
It was a bold move having this the beta map because it is a sniper's paradise, long range. But again, getting into the city feels so good. Like if you can spawn in there or like go around the cliffs and get in there, you're putting the sniper. You're getting rid of their advantage, and the glint is still there. Like you see the sniper glint, and you can deal with snipers. Just like, sure, it's frustrating to die by a sniper. It's one of the most frustrating things in a game. I've been there. Like you spawn. You die, you wait a minute, you come back, you're running, you get sniped. Like, dude, that's frustrating, and I get it, but, stick with it, persevere. Like, you will get better, but, people have been sniping in Battlefield for a long time, like, especially if this is your first time. Like, there's going to be a big learning curve, but I promise you, you will be rewarded for your efforts.
Yeah.
And snipe back. Like, counter-sniping is... That's a whole nother. There's so many games
when you
within
get in
games.
That sniper wolf duel.
It's so fun and like picking people off.
Yeah.
Seeing like 3 guys run by and like picking them off. Feeling like you're Jackson in Saving Private Ryan, having some crazy position, sniping a few guys out, then repositioning. I love repositioning in Battlefield as a sniper. It's exhilarating and strategic and like. Running on the move as a sniper, you're in the open, it's dangerous, but then getting to your new location and like, okay, they don't know I'm here now, like, I love it.
I honestly think more than Battlefield Hardline 4 and 3, this is deliberately, at least from a multiplayer sense, based on what we've seen, a game that is not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
It is going to frustrate
Absolutely
certain segments of the FPS base.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. Like I
It's
don't.
a slower pace game.
Call
of Duty, you can die 10 times, but like you're coming back. You're playing. You're never not like playing. You're constantly
right.
Just,
you might spend 5 minutes just trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Battlefield. Yeah. And I really respect that. There's playing the Battlefield 1 beta. There were moments where I felt like I was back in 1942, and
Absolutely.
I think it was because of some of the limitations of the weapons and just, I don't know, there was a feel to it that I haven't pinpointed yet. But
and again, it's still beta. Like, I always go back to the Battlefield 3 beta specifically. That was a moment in time for me when I just always remember the evolution from beta to launch and from beta to 1 month after launch. Like, Battlefield 3 changed and got so much better as, like, just at launch to like even a month after, like Battlefield 1 will be the same difference. Battlefield 4 a little scary, had a lot of problems, a lot of technical problems.
Yep. Tech issues.
Who knows if that was because of next gen, PS4, Xbox One, like primary. So we'll see.
Can you tell me like? So you played it at E3. Can you tell me anything you noticed that's changed since then, if anything has?
I mean, playing at E3 on a controller.
Yeah.
versus,
Besides that, we played on Xbox.
And we played that awesome map.
That was a great map.
I'm surprised they didn't have that map in the beta.
I thought that map would have been a safer bet
if
they wanted to bring in more new players or something like that.
This is like the hardcore
This map is for like the old school fans.
It is hardcore.
You
like jumping in, dude. I was blown away.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, whoa. oh, okay.
But it's kind of beautiful. Like you spawn and
Yeah.
there's nothing but like flat desert.
Yeah.
You see a horde of enemy guys
Yeah.
like 10 miles away, and
Yeah.
you're like, they're there. Like they're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Guys. This has been a
Moving on.
great
That was great,
conversation. We're gonna move on. I think. For the most part, I've pretty much been playing what you guys have been playing, so I'm going to skip myself, and we're going to go into a general discussion of World of Warcraft Legion, because
Saddle up, Damiani.
we all, yeah, poor Damiani. I feel like we are touching on a lot of things that you just can't comment on for one reason or another, which is definitely frustrating. So I'll try to be a little bit better about looping you in, but. World of Warcraft Legion, and I think we need to preface this conversation a little bit because we are all big WoW players, except for Damiani, who has played a substantial amount of WoW, so he has some experience. But Brad, Huber, and myself, we've played every expansion, we've had max level characters, we've done we're experienced with this game. It has been important in our lives, and I think since Cataclysm for us, there's been a feeling that the magic is gone.
Yeah.
And there have been moments where it kind of feels like it's back, and you try to hold on to it super desperately, but it's just not the same. And it's become kind of like every other game where you pick it up for a month and you put it back down until the next big piece of content comes out. And I'm not going to speak for you guys, and maybe this is just because of the hype of the new expansion, that doesn't seem to be the case here. There's something different. There's something better about this that just feels more impressive and remarkable than WoW has been since probably Wrath of the Lich King. Do you guys agree with that?
I 100% agree.
Yeah, from what I've played so far. Like, for example, leveling, this has been one of the best leveling experiences I think I've had in a WoW expansion.
There's like a way they've made exploration more fun.
Oh my god, yes.
Like times 10. It's just like finding a cave has become magical again. I never thought they could do it, but it's like I'm just running around doing my thing. What's this cave in here? Oh,
yeah.
Fight this named creature that drops some things. There's a treasure chest, and I think a lot of it is because of the artifact weapons. It feels
artifact
rewarding. You go in a cave and you'll find like a chest with artifact power, and at least in the early goings, I'm only like 103, 104. It's like that artifact power is pretty hard to come by.
Yeah.
And getting that stuff feels impactful.
Totally. You have these sort of incidental moments that you don't, at this point, you don't expect out of World of Warcraft, which is weird because I feel like back in the day, this is what World of Warcraft was about. But like, I went into this cave and there were these giant statues, and there was a chest in the middle, and there were like these laser beams going back and forth. And I was like, well, okay, I'm just going to dodge these laser beams. I'm going to go to the chest. And there's no quest here, nothing like that.
Yeah.
I open the chest, and these two statues come to life. And so I have to fight these two giant stone ladies while I'm dodging these lasers, and then I get a reward at the end. It was just something that I happened to stumble upon. And I'm sure a bunch of people have experienced that, but because of how it's packaged, it feels special to you, and that's something that I want to talk about with the artifact weapon, with the class halls as well, because I think those kind of have the same qualities. But Brad, as somebody who is already level cap,
That's right.
who
That's right.
has maybe played more WoW than all of us, we'd have to talk about that. But what do you think now that you're at the end?
I mean, I'm still learning new stuff. There's still stuff I have to do story-wise. Like, you hit 110, whole new zone opens up with story stuff within it. Like, they send you there, and I just kind of got there and I'm just learning everything. Like, new stuff opened up in my class hall. All these new features, so I'm, like, trying to wrap my head around all of this right now. Because, you know, it's like the Wild West. People are still learning everything like that. But I've been very pleased so far with what I've gone through. I've just been like, I don't want to do this kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
I'm always like, yeah. Like, what did we say, like, when we were playing 14, when Jones levels up or whatever? That you say, give me that.
Dopamine?
Dopamine. That's what I feel like
Dopamine.
when I get artifact power.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, give me that dopamine,
Yeah.
that artifact weapon like that.
Oh yeah.
There's
There's a sense of community right now too that feels really nice.
there is.
I'm just fighting like a mini boss, and all of a sudden I'm getting healed, and I look over, and like 30 yards away, there's just this druid like healing me
just
for
like-
no reason.
Yeah.
Waving.
And then just like crazy stories. It's just, speaking for MMOs in general, just the magic of community. Sure, it can be toxic and pretty scary, but it can be so magical and awesome. Like, I'm just running around the world, and like this guy's on my group, but he's like general chat or like speaking, like so like the bubble comes up his head, and like the skeleton comes up, and I just see him say like, "You suck, scrub," to like the skeleton, and he like this guy's talking, he's like, "Bring it," and he like charges him. It's just like so funny.
That
I
you know,
love those moments.
yeah, absolutely.
And
I
he
love
just
those
like
moments
waves
too.
goodbye and like runs off the other direction. Like,
I feel like Legion is actually giving players something to share in a way that they haven't in forever. Like just because it's the freshest in my mind. Like going back to Warlords of Draenor, it's just like, nope. All right, here's the story we're going to tell. Here are the zones that we're giving you. You're going to go through those zones in this order. This is what you're going to see. All right, great. And it was well constructed. They did some great things there. But in Legion, it's like, nope, you can go wherever you want. It's going to scale to you. And so you have these moments like in guild chat or just even in general chat where people are like, oh man, I saw this really, really cool thing. And because you didn't choose that moment, because you're not going on the same path that they did, you have something to look forward to. And I think that's even more true with artifact weapons and class halls and the quests associated, because I've never played a druid, I've never played a rogue, you know, and druids and rogues are telling me about their class halls and how much they love them, and I feel like they have something special that I don't have.
no, because it's for them. Like,
And it's
that's
for
the
them.
beauty of the class halls. It's
Right.
like, I'm a lifetime warrior.
Right.
These warrior quests, I'm going to friggin' Valhalla.
Right.
Fighting with Vikings. Like, perfect. And I'm sure, like, you know, the rogues doing some sneaky...
Dude, I
trickery.
snuck into Stormwind.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Like, they are designed for the player playing the class, and it's like they get it. They understand why people play certain classes, and all these class missions are just perfect.
But I feel like there's this sort of like pride and self-worth that you didn't feel since the early days of like being Alliance or Horde.
Yeah.
Where like, no, I am this thing. Whereas I feel like WoW for the longest time, you could remove all of the classes and the specializations. You could pretty much just divvy up everybody like, okay, you're a tank, you're a healer, you're a DPS. And it didn't matter really beyond that. And I think that distinction is just so awesome. Like, I really want to like play all of the classes just to see
The stories
that
are
unique
amazing.
Yeah,
stuff.
they've been
Yeah.
good stories.
Just
man.
going to Valhalla, I don't know what exactly, but it's basically Valhalla. It
Yeah.
reminds me of Diablo 3 a lot.
Uh-huh.
Just like this location. I feel like the Diablo 3 team was like heavily on Legion. I just like get...
This one zone.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of like Diablo vibes, but just like being in that zone and seeing all of the warriors, there's that bond.
Yeah.
It's like, I respect all
Dude,
of you here.
Speaking
right
of
now.
zones, some really great zones in this
Amazing.
expansion so far, man.
I get into this fight with Jones sometimes, and I've said it myself, but like anybody that says World of Warcraft is a bad looking game hasn't played Legion. Like, there are zones in there.
I don't like the aesthetic.
Oh.
I think that's a different thing.
I've
Yeah.
never commented on the technical part of WoW.
I mean, you can tell it's an old game though.
You can
but
you
it
can
still
tell it's an old
looks
game,
really good.
But there are moments
Yeah.
in Legion. There are just buildings that I just marvel at for the sake of what they look like.
Blizzard,
Like, it's
man.
just, it's incredible. Damiani, I have to ask. I'm very genuinely curious about your impression on this. You are a Final Fantasy XIV expert. Like
the expert.
you're the expert in Final Fantasy XIV. No one has been more hardcore about an MMO than you have in Final Fantasy XIV. I respect that because you really know what you're talking about. I'm sure people have been talking about Legion in Final Fantasy XIV. What has kind of been the impression on the other side, and what are your feelings just sort of about that conversation?
So, I mean, the most that's really come up is just people saying, usually there is a period where people leave 14. This happened the very beginning of 14, I think, as well, because I'm trying to remember when the last expansion came out for WoW as well. I think it was around the...
Is 2014?
2 years ago.
Yeah, there was like that. There was that as well. So there are people who have jumped to go play WoW, just because they've heard very positive things. I haven't heard anything negative about it at Legion at all. Everyone who's touched it seems to be pretty positive. The vibe seems really good about it. Everyone seems like they're having a good time. I think it's more the longevity is the question.
Sure.
Like most people who've switched from, because 14's kind of in a downtime right now. The next major update isn't coming till the end of this month. So everyone's like, oh, we're going to go play Legion. You know, people play WoW. The expectation is that they're going to come back at the end of the month. Like they're going to play WoW for a month. They're going to come back. Because all I keep hearing about is WoW is notorious for their content droughts. They'll have a big expansion come out. It'll last you a month or two. And then there's just like this drought for anywhere from like a year or more or something to like the next major update.
Yeah.
Whereas I can only speak about WoW and I can only speak about 14. I don't know how other MMOs do it, but 14 elects to do pretty decent updates every 3.5 to 4 months.
Yeah.
You get like new dungeons, new boss stuff. We've gone over this before. There isn't so much. The drought is kind of like not as like harsh. You don't feel it as badly as you do, I think, is people who are used to playing.
Well, Draenor was the legendary drought. There was just
okay.
nothing.
Horrible.
And,
That
and
one was
hearing
horrible.
Blizzard talk about that and being so open about it and saying, Draenor, we screwed up. We didn't have a lot of stuff after it. There was just such a drought. They had the first huge content patch trailer before Legion launched.
Yeah.
So there's already a huge one coming, which means they're probably already working on the next one. I think they're definitely proactive. They're definitely ahead of the schedule and are
They better be after last time.
it seems like they're committed to giving stuff every couple months.
The one thing that I'm seeing directly being discussed in 14 right now, and you sort of touched upon about like looking like being unique your character. You don't want you're talking about earlier in the podcast about like man, I don't want everyone looking like the same skin, same weapon. You're talking about a different genre, but like in MMOs, it's also an issue.
Yeah.
So the artifact stuff that I guess I don't know if it's totally new in Legion how they're doing it, but something,
It's totally new.
Something about how you can make your artifact weapon look completely unique visually.
Yep.
I don't know about the stats and stuff, but the visually it can look different from anyone else's or something. I don't know to what extent. And people in 14 right now, we have relics, artifact weapons. The stats can be unique. We can tailor the stats at certain phases. We can tell it to have more of this stat than another stat because that's the most diversity we get in a play style. But we can't make them look any different other than dyeing the color. That's like the most customization you get in 14 is dyeing color. You don't get to choose the visual appearance of your weapon in any form. So a lot of 14 people are talking about, wow, like the development team in 14 should take a look at this. Come expansion time, the next artifact relic weapon quest should have a little bit of that where you can customize the look of it.
It's super neat, Damiani. It's like any item any armor or weapon you collect gets added to your just collection.
Okay.
So you can sell it, delete it, whatever. It'll always be in your collection. So then you go to a person and you're like, okay, I want it to look like this or whatever because I've collected this in the past. So it'll be just like pages and pages of, say, like a headpiece or something. It's like, here's all the headpieces you've collected over the years, and you have, here's like your collection of, your book collection. Here's what I have, here's what I don't have. I want it to look like this.
Okay, I gotta make one quick correction. Aside from dyeing, you can, you call it transmorging or whatever, but in 14 it's called glamoring. You can take an existing weapon, the whole appearance, and replace your current one with that look.
Cool.
They can't customize parts of it whatsoever. So like if I have like a staff that just looks like a Gandalf rod, but I have one that looks like a swan bird or something, I can tell it to look like that, but retain the stats of the better thing. The only restriction is you can't make something look like a higher level. So if I have a level 100 weapon, I can't make it look like the 130 weapon. I can make the 130 weapon look like the 100 or something. That's a weird rule. I don't know if they need to probably relax that. It's a little strange, but...
The only complaint I have about Legion is a personal issue.
Oh.
It's a personal problem that I'm sure not many people have.
It's fine.
But as a warrior, there's the artifact weapons.
This is a very funny
And
problem.
the arms, fury, and protection spec each has a different one. Protection, it's a sword and shield. Fury is 2 swords. Arms is 1 2-handed sword.
Okay.
I don't like swords. I like axes. It's a personal issue, but it's like for me to get attached to this weapon, like I understand that it's part of the lore and the story. There's really no other way to do it, but it's like, World of Warcraft's always been about like self-expression and all that, and I made the sword look like one of my favorite axes, But it's still kind of weird that like it's about a lore legendary sword, but it's like this axe of hash. It's a personal issue.
Yeah.
I think
wish
there's
maybe-
some validity to that, actually.
Yeah, like I wish there's this artifact sword. I wish maybe you could.
There's an axe version of it.
Yeah,
or
I wish there was
something.
like an axe or a mace or something version of
Sure.
each. Like it's weird that Death Knights are
I
the
could see
only
that coming.
class in the game that have an artifact axe. Only class.
Sure.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
it's a little weird.
Brad, you mentioned something.
But I made it
earlier.
an axe and it was no problem.
No, it's
Sorry, cut you off.
You guys finished. Like,
no, it's just I love this because it's a playstyle thing, whereas it just speaks to how you enjoy things where you are like, motherfucker, I am a warrior for life.
Yeah.
You can bury me with the warrior symbol on my grave. That is the class that I play, and I am an orc.
Yeah,
But
I'm
that's
an
it.
orc
That's the end
with
of
an
it.
axe, and I'm riding a bear,
Right.
and I'll never change.
Right. Yeah. And you know, I respect that.
Yes.
I get it.
there you go.
And, but it's just so different from where I'm like, oh, Death Knight gets the axe. Well, I want to go and make a Death Knight and then go get the axe. Like, I want to try everything and do everything and be everything and love everything. And it's so interesting.
Yeah, he
to
read
hear
definitely has his
that,
own unique perspective.
that different
which I
perspective.
dig. I dig it.
Yeah, I dig it too.
What were you gonna say?
So you mentioned about leveling. You said like it was better. Or
It scales. Everything scales now.
Okay, so that's always been like the thing that annoys me the most in like MMOs, especially 14, is just the level grind. So is that like is the grinding part of it feel like any better? Like did they give you more
The quests,
options? Like
the quests feel a lot better.
Okay.
So like you could when you start, you get to pick like four or five zones you want to go to, and you could like look at the zones and be like, oh, I don't like the way that looks or the vibe of it. Like I'm gonna go to that zone instead. What if?
So even at your current level, like you start
It all
at a new
scales.
Yes.
Oh wow! So like like for this expansion, this is like new quote unquote starter zones for the expansion.
Yeah.
For what level you're at? So we were at what, level 100 or
Yeah,
something?
you start 100, but you can go to any one you want.
And you get to
So it's
pick where
called
you
the-
start.
it's
Yes.
the bro.
Yes, you get to pick where you go.
So the story doesn't dictate.
Correct. There's story elements in every one.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Cause sorry, 14's so linear. Like
Yeah.
that in terms
Oh,
of
I love
because they're
14.
so focused on you need to experience the story that you have to go to X zones in
Yeah.
order or whatever, sort of. But
It's pretty crazy how they've made it seem like you can go anywhere, but the story still feels like I'm a war like the whole class quest and warrior quest and all this and going to different locations. It feels like it's this giant linear story, but it's not. Like they've made it all seem seamless.
So, yeah, I think
It's
one of
crazy.
the most commendable things about the expansion is you have all these different areas. You can choose which order you want to go through them in. They've managed to find this near perfect balance of each place has its own identity, its own problems, and its own story that you can get involved in. Do you want to help this Tauren tribe? Like, fuck yes, Taurens are back in a big way. I love it. You can help this Tauren tribe that is, you know, being attacked by this race that's been corrupted, or you can go help these ancient warriors and do these trials. And so you feel like you're kind of going through these stories, these micro stories, but they always connect on a macro level, and you always feel like you're progressing a little bit against this ultimate fight against the Burning Legion. And so it doesn't just feel like you're doing these sectioned off things. You get the satisfaction of that while also continually progressing in a bigger fight, and I think that's really, really
And it
cool.
feels just higher stakes. Like Draenor was Shrek. It was Shrek 4, alternate timeline. And I understand that like the alternate timeline kind of warps back into the main timeline,
Yeah.
and you're like changing the past to change the future. Like I get it,
Yeah.
but it still didn't feel that important. Like I know Gul'dan was like messing around with all the shit
Well,
or whatever.
It's alternate Gul'dan.
Yeah, and
Now
The real,
it is.
the
Yes.
original Gul'dan
Yeah.
is dead.
See, yeah, and
But
that-
it's still him. He's still in this
but
one.
he's
Yeah.
in like
Yeah,
the
he's
normal
here,
area.
Oh yeah, he's still puppet master.
Yeah. So it just feels better to be back in the main timeline and not in some
Well,
weird alternate.
Yeah, I mean,
Draenor.
totally. I'm with you 100% because, like, in Warcraft 3, it is very clear, hey, whatever is going on between the Alliance and the Horde and the Night Elves and the Forsaken, like, the real baddie is the Undead. Or not the Undead, I'm sorry. The real baddie is the Burning Legion.
Yeah.
And it just feels like every expansion, we're kind of not dealing with the ultimate threat. Like, they're there doing things, but it's like, all right, and now we got to deal with Deathwing, and now we got to go to Pandaria. And no, it's like, now they are invading Azeroth and we have to fight them.
Again.
You know. And I think I totally agree with you that the stakes feel high.
And I was nervous, when it was Illidan again. It was like, again, dude? Illidan?
Yeah,
Like,
when they said Legion, I was like, fuck, again.
I actually don't think the Illidan stuff has been
There's more.
Yeah.
See, that's why I like it too, because it's such a slow reveal and a slow pace to it. Whereas like Draenor, it was like,
Maybe I just
remember
haven't
this
gotten
guy, remember this, oh this guy, shoving it down your throat. This is like, Illidan's around, like you're not gonna really see him, but he's around.
And maybe this is unfair because I haven't seen the payoff in the game itself, but bringing back a character like Illidan, not just in WoW, in any game, I'm always like, okay, like I put so much emotion and energy into caring about this at a specific point in time, and then we move past that, and you're bringing it back again. I can't just recycle those feelings, you know? And so I think it can be done effectively, but it's hard, to be like, you are not prepared, and that doesn't mean anything to me now,
Yeah. So I do have something that someone brought up in 14 that to all three of you might be an interesting discussion about. I don't know how well you do end game stuff in WoW, but a lot of people who play WoW during 14 right now are complaining because the 14 people are discussing about going this direction in the future as well, about reducing the complexity of your rotations because they think it's too difficult, especially when it comes to raiding, that there's already enough mechanics you have to worry about in raiding that you shouldn't need to be worrying so much about super complex rotations, especially for DPS, because it just adds a whole nother layer, and I think that's what's turning people off from raiding in general. So people are telling me in 14 that WoW has dumbed down basically its skill set. Like,
I don't think they've dumbed it down.
The joke
I think they've made it leaner.
Like,
I think they've made each move more important, and you still have to kind of choose.
They've trimmed fat.
They've trimmed the fat. You still are you still have a choice between a couple moves in each situation, especially when tanking. Like I messed around with protection. Like there are do you want to burn all your rage on execute? Do you want to save it for shockwave? It's like there's still some nuance there, and I just feel like there were so many unused, unnecessary moves. It was just such a hassle that it's way more leaner and better now.
So I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword, and I think both camps are right. I think the people that are like, if you ever take a skill away from me ever, it's wrong. I don't believe that. I think you can remove complexity that's there for the sake of complexity while still keeping depth. I think that's totally a thing you can do. But I have heard specifically from hunters that certain aspects of the class are just not as fun.
They always just roll your face on the keyboard.
Right. But I'm saying I do think there can be
Hearthstone karma.
I don't agree with any of that.
But one thing I want to...
No, but I'm just saying I don't think it's right to be like, okay, just because they are trimming the fat and they're successful in most cases doesn't mean they're successful in all cases.
One thing I want to bring up, though, is a thing that's different from WoW is, especially for you, because you play Final Fantasy, there is only one thing with your class. That's it. But with this, there's different specs for your class. And each spec has a different move where you'll play.
Oh, wow.
You'll play that class differently. For example, I have Rogue. One I use swords and I use a pistol in it, but I don't have that anywhere else. And I play completely different than how I'd play in subtlety or assassination.
I get that. I don't think it's necessarily the complex way you can spec.
Yeah.
I think it's just the basic rotations, what you do for optimal DPS. People are complaining it's been watered down, and it's the joke is 1 2 3. You push 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 over and over again, and that's basically all you do. And some people are lamenting that hey, because they want to appeal to too many casual players, they've ruined a system that, albeit a minority, really enjoyed about playing higher level WoW.
I just think I think it's too early to tell. I think the Legion raid isn't even out yet. I think people haven't really dug into PvP to kind of make these generalized statements.
Yeah.
Because when you hit 110, you start learning talents for PvP. Do you learn any moves on those honor talents?
Oh yeah. There's
you
moves.
learn more moves through that.
I agree with
no one is I'm sure people have maxed out honor talents, but still there's so much more that not a lot of people have.
I think one way or the other is hard to tell though.
Yeah.
How people feel about the total reworking will be solidified in a month.
Yeah.
or 2 months or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
How is PvP, real quick?
In
Like,
WoW?
Is it still a huge...
I just not as a
so
PvP
much
point.
better than 14.
Yeah.
No,
Holy
like,
shit.
that's not hard.
Lifeblood.
That's not hard to do. But like,
Yeah.
is like,
And compared to previous WoW
yeah,
expansions.
previous
how
WoW
it's been.
expansions, like, is it still like the new?
I haven't
or
really done anything
like
at 110 yet because I like just hit it. But
Yeah, it's
from
too
what I
soon.
did at the pre-patch, I was like, okay, I kind of like the way this is going. Like, there's certain moves that you can only do in PvP, which will be easier to balance with PvE and PvP and stuff like that.
There is something I want to say as a point of comparison to 14 that has been really, really nice, because before Legion, that's what the big MMO I was playing primarily. I feel like in 14, just because of the way that game is designed with the global cooldowns, I would like hit a button, wait, hit a button, wait, hit a button. Whereas like I'm playing Demon Hunter, and I know some people don't like this style, but for me it's been really fun, where it's like I have so many buttons to hit all the time, and they all do
Yeah.
crazy shit, and it's just like I feel like I'm like
I
almost
understand
playing Diablo or something, where it's
Yeah.
like boom, 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 like every single fight, and I'm backflipping, and I'm like shooting laser beams out of my eyes, and it's just a little bit more. I think you get
Arcade.
more immediate satisfaction.
WoW is definitely more faster paced with
Yeah.
with its GCD timers and stuff. Like
Yeah.
14 is very specific in that, but I mean, one thing 14 does have like PvP specific moves
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
Like yeah, if you try and play real PvP without PvP moves,
moves,
you're
yeah.
gonna get like wrecked and stuff. That's about like the only nice thing to say about
It's
14
just-
PvP, but like
It's so
the
bad.
fact that it doesn't have world PvP really drives me insane. Like I've always been jealous that
just
like
gonna
that
say
WoW
that.
has that.
Yeah.
And they keep teasing like, "Yo, we're gonna have a PvP server coming next expansion." I'm like, can you just make it happen now and like just start balancing it? Like things that go wrong, just start.
The glory days of Terran Mill are long gone.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I've heard of Turn.
every time, every 2 years, when we are gifted with a new expansion, those first 2 or 3 weeks, when you're in the wild and people are leveling up and you're getting in encounters, some alliance scum stealths and stabs you in the back, and then you fend him off and spit on his corpse.
Yeah, you can make it way more personal.
Nothing like it.
It's real fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I miss that tension. That
Yeah.
tension.
Yeah,
seems
14 is just
amazing
like
if you
you're
want it.
comfortable. I feel comfortable
Like
and
they
safe.
just have you can just have PvE servers for people who just do
Yeah,
not want world
just give
PvE.
people the option.
I never understood that.
I think they're
but,
doing
like,
it from a lore side or whatever, because you're all supposed to team up.
Dude, yeah, I'm sorry. Like
I think that's
always
just
been like that, and it's annoying.
Like
I think it's Eastern versus Western design, and all
yeah,
that.
for sure it is. Yeah,
they said that they don't want people stressing out about when they're leveling up.
just
and
have
stuff.
different servers, man.
Yeah, but it's like let people opt into that. Like it's their own decision. Who they picked it. They know what
Yeah.
they're getting into. Come on.
Yeah.
Uh,
I never asked for this.
I could talk about Legion for the rest of the podcast,
Yeah,
but I think we got to move on.
Yeah.
We're already running
Yeah,
behind.
good
on
stuff.
stuff,
Forgot to talk
Legion.
about Deus Ex. Oh well, next time.
Next time.
Next time.
Maybe I'll play it by then. It is time for this week's HOTTAKE! And I had like 5 different potential HOTTAKEs for today, but I thought I would do something a little bit different. I'm not going to make a game out of it. Instead, I'm just going to introduce a topic, and I want to gauge the panel's opinions on it. And it's not about an event, it's not about upcoming releases, it's about something that has happened.
Okay.
In a general sense. And so we've got... Sorry, I gotta make notes for Don. I remember growing up, how I played video games and how I consumed video games and how I thought about video games, just how I engaged with the whole thing, is very, very different than it is today. And I think the primary reason for that, there are 2 things. I think it's Twitch and I think it's YouTube. It has just changed the game completely. How you learn about video games is different. How you enjoy video games is different. And I think it's been both an extremely positive and extremely negative thing. And there's 2 points I want to touch on before I let you guys run loose with it. The biggest benefit, in my opinion, is the community. Mm-hmm. You are just more aware of others because of the interconnectedness, and I think that has created really, really strong communities that wouldn't otherwise be possible. It's also raised awareness for things that I think were not getting the attention they deserved. I think speedrunning is a go-to example for that. But I think maybe one of the negatives, and we touched on this earlier, is sometimes it feels like a race to the bottom. it's really discomforting to me where when I haven't finished a game and a week later it feels like I already missed the boat, like the entire world has moved on.
Yeah.
And I just think the amount of information that is available at all times kind of takes away from the specialness of you getting to be absorbed.
We were just talking about it with Souls.
Yeah, we were just talking about it with Souls. Yeah, and I mean, I am repeating myself a little bit there, but I wanted to know, you know, as people that stream, as people that put things on YouTube, as people that consume that stuff, how has it affected you personally?
For streaming though, like for example, I didn't stream Dark Souls 3 when it came out. I was like, this is for me. I'm doing this by myself. I want to experience it this way, so I will not stream it. Mm-hmm. That's like one way I deal with it. Or if like I won't look at anything, like Mike does.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna look at anything on the internet. I'm cool
Yeah.
until I am complete with this thing. So I don't let. You can't let people ruin things for you.
With the biggest games, for me.
Yeah.
Case in point, Phantom Pain. I try to turn it all off until I finish the game completely. I remove myself from the world, media blackout, turn the internet off, turn the TV off, lock the doors, and go in seclusion until I finish a game. Can only do that with the most extreme circumstances, though. Like, you know, it's such a crazy topic, man. Jesus, really getting nuts here.
It is. It's big, and
like,
so I'll throw some things in there to hopefully help guide it.
Because like Resident Evil 7, you know, Resident Evil 7 demo comes out, and you know, I media blackout, of course, finish it, do my thing, but then I come back into the world, and it's just negativity coming, flying.
You can't avoid it, and you feel wrong for being positive about it, and that's so weird. Yeah. Another facet of this that I want to bring up that is not directly related to YouTube and Twitch, but I think can also be applied to them, is like I play a lot of Hearthstone, okay, and there's this site, Tempo Storm. They come out with the meta snapshot where they say, all right, these are the best decks, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. I also play a lot of Heroes of the Storm. This can be applied to Heroes of the Storm as well. But the minute that snapshot comes out and I go on ladder, it is like card for card. You just took that from this report. It's like, you know, in some ways, not everybody has a lot of time to like go and make their own decks and experiment. I understand that, but I feel like it makes it so I know exactly what I'm playing at all times.
Yeah.
And it's just it just kind of robs some of the magic out of it.
So,
you know?
I know this is like extremely hard to do. I'm glad you brought up Hearthstone, Blizzard, the meta, right? Mm-hmm. A couple days ago, StarCraft 2 released their newest patch notes. Every unit, every class changed. Completely changed, right? And, like, I feel like they have not taken enough risks, and now that all the expansions are out, the game is out, it's like almost a dead game, basically, StarCraft 2, they're able to take these huge risks. And I feel like if we could get into a mindset or a mode where, like, you just take these huge risks and change the games, the meta wouldn't be as hard to lock down. Like, Hearthstone, I feel like, takes so long to make a simple change.
Yeah,
whereas now, like, this StarCraft 2 expansion, or this StarCraft 2 patch comes out, and it's like, all right, full refresh, here we go again. Like, sure, it'll only be a matter of time before that meta's figured out, but, like, just them showing those notes was super refreshing, and I think it is a kind of statement on you know, fatigue and meta.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point.
It's a bold move.
Definitely, I think you know, not to drill this in on Hearthstone, but you're absolutely right. Where other Blizzard games are better at iterating quickly and making things more exciting more of the time, and Hearthstone, like, it's so obvious sometimes when things are not tuned properly, and it's just like you may have to wait a year for that to be fixed, and it's very frustrating. And any game that happens is very
frustrating. Sounds like a lot of these problems come for games that are competitive online. Mm-hmm. Like for example, like a single player game, you can ignore these things if you don't want to see it. It's easier. It's easier to handle. Like, I don't want to see this or blah blah blah. But if you're playing online, you could be potentially playing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Yeah. Which could dull the experience for you.
It's just hard because if you really want it to be pure, I'm going to use the word pure. Because if you want your playthrough to be pure and untainted, you have to dodge.
It's up to you.
It's so hard. Like, even Full Media Blackout with Phantom Pain, like, there's some stuff that just slips through the cracks, and it's like, I gotta put my whole life on hold to do that. Like, it takes all of my energy, all of my effort to get rid of all the noise, to just be able to play a game without any outside opinion affecting that. Because leading up to the game, months in advance, you hear things, you know, oh my god, something for 15 just came out that's so frustrating, and it was headlines everywhere, and that game's so far away, and it was about the pace of the game that I will not share here if you manage to dodge it, but it was like, oh cool, spoiler, like, now I'm expecting something when I'm going through that game. Now I can kind of like put it together, and you know, the surprise and the mystery is lessened.
I also think there's a very dangerous dogpiling effect that has really scared me and disgusted me in some instances. And I think a good example of that
I love when you're disgusted.
is No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky absolutely 110% deserves to be called out for its bullshit. It deserves to be it makes sense that people are angry about it. I think those are all understandable things that could be presented in a clear, constructive way. But there have been approximately 1 million YouTube videos that are not constructive, that are just using aggressive, violent, like, dangerous language to like, if I was Sean Murray, I wouldn't feel safe. Like there's a point where we're not criticizing a game, we're not criticizing a product, we're not, you know, being smart consumers, we're just spreading hate. Mm-hmm. There's a difference there. Yeah. I'm not defending No Man's Sky. I'm not saying, oh, you know, let's play nice. No, be angry about it, be vocal about it. But you don't ever need to tell people to kill themselves. You know what I mean? Like we so quickly cross that line on the internet, and I think these avenues have made it even worse, where, like, if we don't like something, if we're angry about something,
it's hate.
It becomes hate. And I think that is wrong. Mm-hmm. I really believe that is objectively wrong and not healthy. Yeah. And it's so frustrating as somebody who is responsible for putting their opinion out there on things. Yeah. If someone disagrees with you, it's not just a disagreement. It is well, you said that thing about that one product, so I hate you. Yeah. And it's just that there's no, we are either absolutely in love with something and can't shut up about it, or we absolutely hate something and can't shut up about it. And just this lack of a middle ground is so frustrating.
That goes into comparing games. You know, it's the same thing to a little lesser extent, where it's like, you know, new game comes out, well, it's not as good as this one, so it sucks. So it's trash. Like, new Zelda comes out, well, it's not Ocarina of Time, so it sucks. And it's like, they can coexist, you know? It's like Battlefield, Call of Duty, they can coexist. Like, I am Battlefield for life. But like, and I prefer it, I love it infinitely more than I do Call of Duty, but they can coexist. Like, Call of Duty's cool. I'm down. Yeah. Like, let's group up, kill some dudes, go through that campaign. Like, I love it.
It feels like all this kind of contributes to, like, there is a definitive or quote-unquote right answer mentality in the court of opinion, where, you know, we all know better as mature, you know, adults. You know, opinions are opinions. There is no necessarily right or wrong one. Mm-hmm. But it feels like with everything you've mentioned, especially, you know, the new, like, Twitch, YouTube, and like where gaming culture's kind of gone, it's not just like a race to the bottom. It's also a race to, like, the definitive opinion. Yeah. And if you don't go by this opinion, you're in the minority. You're viewed as, like, you're actually wrong. Which is why I think so much, like, hate is spewed at people who take those stances. Because, like, how dare you go against, like, what's perceived as, like, the de facto answer. Like, right now, like, if you don't, like, No Man's Sky, it's a broken piece of trash. If you say anything other than this, you even try and tell me there's a redeeming quality about this. You try and tell me that, you know, they didn't lie about one thing. screw you, man. Like, you're just like wrong. Like, you should go like kill yourself and stuff. It's like that's what it gets down to. It's like, wow, really? Like,
And
there are some people who actually, despite its flaws, can enjoy that game. Not saying it's me, but there are people I know who enjoy the game and they expect it'll get better over time.
Some of our patrons like have their kids play.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, this is like just watching my son play or daughter play.
Yeah.
Like,
I just did the community comments. I just culled them together for Jones, and so many comments are there were like, I'm enjoying this game, and I was like, I'm glad that we have a place where people can feel like they can say those things and not be ridiculed. It is so ridiculous, and Damiani, I agree with you 110% that there is this perceived correctness, and sometimes I feel like the only avenue for people that don't agree with that is silence, and that's not okay, because that side will just drown you out or attack you outright, and I think it's terrible. And
well, it's. I'm glad you brought it up too, because I've been thinking about this more and more. It's like it gets pretty bad with like movies and shows, but video games are so much more intense with hate. Is because people are protective and they feel like because they are the ones going through the game, they have this ownership,
right?
And then it's like more of theirs. It's like, well, I was there. I've been playing Resident Evil my whole life. Like, I played 1, I played 2 when it came out.
Yeah.
So I own it more than you guys, and it's like that's a dangerous.
Yeah.
So whereas a movie, it's like we're all collectively watching this movie together. I didn't make the movie. I didn't go through the movie. I'm not just watching it. Whereas like you go through a video game, like you have this like ownership.
Kind of going along with that, something that I don't see as much with other forms of media is there's this sense that video games are meant to be a certain way. Like this person is like, this is what a video game is to me, and something that explores subjects that I'm uncomfortable with or goes in a different direction is suddenly invalid. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, if you sample video games today, if you take like a large enough sample size, it's amazing. It is amazing how diverse they are. And so because like something is exploring a different space or taking an idea and flipping it on its head, you don't have to like it. You can absolutely not like it. But to crusade against its existence seems a little frustrating to me.
You know what's really positive and optimistic and good? Well, we're so lucky for what we do, but we're even more lucky to have the Easy Allies. Because it is like the safest community online that I've ever had the privilege of being a part of. And it's like, I because of the allies and because of the patrons, I have been able to drown out so much more hate. Like, I only go to easyallies.com, the forums, and Twitch to read comments anymore. And like some of my videos, obviously, I post. But like, that's it. Like, I'm here for you, with you, and it is refreshing and encouraging, and that's it. I love it.
Absolutely.
The allies, baby.
On that, I think that's a good note to end on, is a note of positivity and support, and
we're all here together.
you can.
This is the place, Ben.
You can express yourself with us.
Threw out a
We won't hate you.
Threw out a little tweet. Little Easy Allies Destiny clan. It was like, yo, who's gonna run me through this 2-year-old raid?
Yeah. Ben,
They answered the call. They ran me through.
I think it's good to have different opinions, and it's okay to not agree with something. Just don't be a dick about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you could just boil it down to that.
The golden rule.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Treat others
how you would want to be treated.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if that went in places that were weird.
No,
but I
this
felt like there
frame
were,
trap,
yeah.
baby.
I think there were things that needed to be said.
Yeah,
there.
I'm just sad Ian Hink wasn't here to voice his.
Man,
very
he
intense.
would have things to
We're gonna be
say.
here a while.
He would have things to say, and that's good. I like that he has things to say.
Absolutely.
So let's move on. Let's move on to emails. I don't want anyone on this panel or watching the show to take this the wrong way, but I honestly, I still believe Frame Trap is in an experimental phase. We're still
oh,
trying
yeah.
things out. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring out what I like and what I don't like. And the last episode we did a shorter email section, and I just felt better. And so I think I am going to keep emails a little bit shorter. Please continue to send them. It's nothing against you. It's just for the sake of the pace of the show.
flow
I think it's a
and the
little bit better. But our first email, talking about Blizzard Entertainment, comes in from Seth.
Hey, Seth.
Hey Seth, love you Blizzard.
He's
Big
just
fan.
just
Wear the Blizzard.
again. These are not my words. Very very positive about Blizzard. Blizzard Entertainment is not just an industry leader. They created worlds that are etched into the very fabric of our culture. Whew. World of Warcraft revolutionized the entire gaming industry. Countless developers have attempted to capture that magic that Blizzard has perfected and never succeeded. However, the unfortunate reality is that in the past, Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, and Warlords of Draenor severely lacked that signature Blizzard polish. There was content, but none of it was memorable. Does Legion feel like a return to that Blizzard quality, the level of quality that when a game reaches it, the entire industry is elevated? We answered the question, but what I want to bring up, and feel free to comment on it if you want.
I'm not level cap.
I just have a
can't
quick
really-
thing to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Feels good right now,
Yes.
but we've just started.
Yes.
So it can easily go downhill.
Feels better than Mists and
Right.
Draenor at launch. I played
Right.
Cataclysm a ton. I like Cataclysm. I think it gets a bad rap. Sure, it's not Lich King and it came after the best. But
Yeah, there are things I,
like
really like
Cataclysm.
about Warlords. You are both touching on exactly what I wanted to touch on, and it is that when either something good or something bad happens with somebody, especially that has as many eyes on them as Blizzard, I think there's that call for snap judgment. And Brett, I totally agree with you. It's like Legion feels good right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're still waiting through it. We're still feeling it out.
It's in the oven.
Yeah, it is in the oven. I
Cooking.
totally agree with that. Yeah. And Huber, you touched on the other thing that I wanted to talk about is I feel like when people do talk about Cataclysm or Pandaria or Draenor, because those were overall not great things, that it just kind of it's like, no, that sucked totally. And it's like, I think there were really good things about them. I think there were lessons learned that maybe made Legion what it was, you know?
Draenor is the only one that it's pretty hard to defend because of the content drought.
Yeah.
And because Garrison's never fully paid off.
Sure.
for me.
Sure.
So, like, those two big things are kind of hard to get behind.
Yeah,
Like, Pandaria was cool because it was, like, a nice little change of pace from the world-ending Cataclysm.
Right.
A little more jolly, lighthearted. The new, like, Battleground was cool. I love that. Love the aesthetic of it. Draenor just didn't really have...
I think what I was trying to say, not necessarily specifically to World of Warcraft, but it's just like, just because something is bad doesn't mean it is absolutely bad.
And they learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, Legion has learned from Draenor's mistakes, so maybe Draenor being not as good has made the overall game better in a weird logic.
Put them up. They might have been too comfortable before. And
Yeah,
it's really
they were.
put a fire into them.
They were, for sure.
Our next email comes in from James
Kept
Ryan.
thinking that.
Hey, James.
Hey, James.
He says,
Love you, Blizzard.
Love your work, James.
inspired by Ben last episode saying if you were to rank his hobbies, games would be number one, followed by music. That is true. My question is, how would the panel rank their personal hobbies and interests? Don't worry about having a minimum number, perhaps a maximum if the show's strapped for time. I don't think we need a maximum. I think this would be an interesting way to learn more about the Allies. If I were to rank my own, it would probably be film, TV, comics, games, and then music. It's probably the stuff I most actively try to engage in. Damiani, I want to start with you.
Games would probably still be one. I'd probably put television at 2. Oh, it's creeping up. Films at 3. Probably can I put anime as a separate category?
Heck yeah,
Sure.
You mean
can.
like in its own
Please.
ranking?
Yes.
Okay. I really like that a lot. Yeah. Okay.
I think I'll put music next, then I'll put anime.
Okay.
Anime's behind music there at the end.
Okay.
Is there anything else? I put sports in the television, I guess. So I lumped them kind of together.
Sure.
I don't know if you'd do that too, Huber.
Not being on my list.
Yeah, I don't know. Like watching sports. Like TV's is so damn big and broad.
Yeah, for
Sorry.
sure.
No, I like
But
that.
yeah,
that was
that's
good.
kind of it. Yeah.
It's a good list.
Video games, music, movies, TV.
Just to save time, Brad, we have the exact same
Yep.
list.
So we'll get along, Ben.
Yeah.
Video games. Movies. Dodgers.
It's one category.
Yeah.
Doctors is a category.
TV, comics.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like
But,
that. Some diversity there.
It's cool because movies and games throughout the year I go through like
Different phases.
I go through phases that are like 3 months long,
Mm-hmm.
all that are 2 to 4 months long, where like I'm super craving video games. It's all I'm doing, playing games. Then I'll go into movies and just like not really play that much except for work and just watch so many movies.
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah,
a
That's totally
constant
cool. Yeah, go
Yeah.
through phases. Yeah.
Same with TV and games with me, pretty much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, I just have to say it for myself because maybe if I say it on the record, I'll actually do it. My favorite thing in the world to do is read, and I just don't read books anymore. And I need to read books. I have to do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
I drove by a library last night, and I was like, one day I should just like go check out books.
yeah.
And then I read like some story in the news saying that some Alabama library is gonna give people jail time for overdue books.
That's crazy.
Damn.
I'm like, what? Like, damn, maybe I shouldn't, because if I don't return a book, I might go to jail.
That's so intense.
I live vicariously through Beth because she reads like more than I watch TV. Insane.
You know, actually, I have the
24/7, and she reads fast. Huge book done in like 3 days. Boom.
And that's the same thing
Yeah.
with Abby. She's
Insane.
she's such a voracious reader that
Yeah.
it makes me want to read less because I feel guilty.
Yeah.
Like anytime I pull out a book, it's like, oh, you're reading
Yeah.
too. And it's like, yeah, I guess. And it's like I just want to go back to my little.
Nah,
corner,
man.
you know?
You read that book whenever you want to read
Oh.
it, and you read how you want to read.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
Don't
I
let
need
anyone
that.
tell
I need
you
that.
how
I'll
to
let
do
the
that.
YouTube and Twitch book readers
I'm
tell
such
you
Yeah.
a
what to
slow
do.
Yep.
reader. I'm so
Oh,
slow.
you need to read this book. This book's better than that book. Don't read that book. Do you, Ben?
Well, I guess to bring it up really quickly, because I don't know if any of you can relate to it. I've been meaning to read Game of Thrones for like the last 6 years, and I love
Wow.
Game of. There's nothing in my life I love more than Game of Thrones, but just the thought of reading like 5 giant books is just like I don't know, man.
If you're
I don't
enjoying
know.
it, though, it won't be a problem.
Yeah, but
Till you have to wait.
it's just sort of
Yeah.
that initial barrier, kind of
Just
that
like
you were talking about with Souls, where it's just like once I get there, I'll probably be fine. But man,
Ben,
I
it's
can't
like
stop.
starting a new
Yeah,
game
man.
franchise, man. Like, what if you never
But I
played...
could, like I love Shin Megami Tensei. I can't play 2 Shin Megami
I know,
Tensei games
well,
back to back.
it might not take you as long to read a book than to play through a Shin Megami
Sure.
Tensei book.
But does the TV series being ahead now like hurt?
Yeah,
Does that
that's
diminish
also-
as
Oh,
well?
sure.
Because
That's
yeah,
also-
part of the not knowing the surprise was like I gotta read this next book so I don't get spoiled. Like with Harry Potter, that was like you gotta read the damn books because the movies aren't coming in time.
Such
So
good
you
books.
better read books 6 and 7 if you don't want a spoiler.
Our next email comes in from David Green. I really like this one too.
Hi, David.
Hey, David. Love Harry Potter.
Big fan.
He says, "Howdy, hey." I would like to know which games have the best introductions, and what I mean by that is what video games did the best job of grabbing your attention in the first few minutes. What comes to mind for me are Metal Gear Solid, yes.
Yes.
Final Fantasy VII,
That was my answer.
yes. Last of Us, Uncharted series, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, Chrono Trigger, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. If you have the time, I'm curious what you think makes a good game introduction.
All those,
Please.
and you're not gonna give me that Spencer Mansion first zombie?
Huber, I'm gonna break your heart.
But wait,
Sometimes I'm not kidding you. Sometimes I just sit and think about this out of the blue. I truly believe that Resident Evil 4 has like the best opening hour of any video game, and how remarkable it is.
Dude, like Leon in the back of the car with 2 cops? Come on, man.
I'm saying opening
So-
hour. I specified.
Okay.
I specified.
I'm thinking opening like couple
Oh,
of
okay,
minutes.
okay, that's a different thing. I think that's a different
I was thinking
frame.
like Huber too.
Like
Sure,
open.
sure. Because I was just gonna say, like the first hour of Resident Evil, like nothing has grabbed me by the balls more than that. Seriously.
That village.
That
village
village,
encounter.
that intensity, that
Yeah.
feeling, that emotion. Oh, I love
It's
it
like
so much.
Blizzard level design right there.
Oh my god. We're just gonna.
Pizza eating Dante.
The
Devil May
thumbnail
Cry
for
3.
this is just gonna have to be like
Let's
Blizzard with a
rock.
Halo.
Dude,
I actually really like
Dante
that show.
Devil May Cry 3.
Yeah, it's good. People hate it, but I like it.
Just that like going in with Barry as Jill,
Yeah.
like the pool of blood there, the ticking clock, fireplace.
Dude,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
the
The
bombing,
zombie turns around.
the bombing mission in 7, dude. breaking in with Barrett and the rest of the Avalanche. Yeah.
The music. Heck
Yeah, setting the bomb, dude,
Yeah.
fighting the boss, getting out when
Yeah.
it blows up, dude. So cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Definitely.
Starting
Top
off
tier.
with a heist job
yeah,
or something like
it's
that.
top
Yeah.
tier. It's some infiltration.
Yeah.
Love it.
Can you like, not to do this to myself and all of you, but thinking about that opening bombing mission and then thinking about how it could be remade, the potential there,
Yeah.
like it could be so good
We've seen glimpses of it.
that I get through it and I just shut off my PS4 and throw it out the window because I'm like, it's not getting better than that. Like, oh my god. Oh,
Definitely
the
wanna
potential there.
Definitely want to quickly bring up Shenmue 2 or Shenmue.
Okay.
Also,
Oh, sure, yeah. Good
because
example.
it's like within the first couple minutes, that game has you so emotionally invested because dudes come and kill your father right in front of you. There's this level of like emotional investment, and also because there's this mystery. Who were those people? What is he talking about? What the hell was my dad involved with? So it like throws down all this emotional and mysterious weight on you within the first few minutes.
Yes,
Huber,
Londi
Yeah.
which God of War has the best intro?
2.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
Dude, 3's is pretty nuts.
3 is,
Two
I was,
is
I was gonna say
shit.
2 or 3.
2 is cool because you're like battling all over the city.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah,
I
do
feel
love
like you like
Oh, but 3.
3 is amazing. 3 is amazing, but I feel like you just kind of like 3 is a better spectacle, but in 2 I feel like you do more.
Yeah.
it. Sure.
Especially 2 when like the Colossus like in 2 like
Yeah.
you'll be running and all of a sudden he'll smash through a building and like try to step on
2
you.
has like brief moments of like pause and relief, I feel like. Well, 3's just like fucking nuts the entire time.
Dude,
one game
jabbing out Poseidon's eyes.
One
Get
game
outta here.
that this may not seem exciting, but one game that really sets the tone for the world and it like gets me sucked into the adventure is Dragon Quest VIII.
Yeah.
Just the intro, that really simple, real simple and everything.
Throwing rocks at
Not
him,
a
man.
spectacle.
Yeah, totally. Dragon Quest VIII is a national treasure.
It is a world treasure.
World treasure. Better descriptor.
Global treasure.
It belongs in a museum.
It
Yeah, it
does.
does.
It does belong, like they need to teach Dragon Quest VIII in schools.
Yes.
All right. Our next and final email for the day comes in from Thim.
Hey, Vin.
Hey, Tim.
Big
Love
fan.
Dragon Quest.
Yeah, big fan.
Hi, Ben, and hi, all allies on the panel. Here's a question that you can discuss for the next Frame Trap. Every once in a while, I think about video games of my youth that I simply could not finish at the time. There are quite a few of them, but some special ones that literally haunt me in my dreams. And especially Dark Mark is the PC-exclusive RPG Silver from 1999, which had a mini-boss fight that needed a certain trick that I could never pull off. Whenever I think about the game and that stupid boss, I get the urge to go back and finish it to prove to myself that my gaming skills have advanced in the last 17 years. However, due to my long backlog of unplayed games, I never get around to it, and probably never will, unless I specifically make time for it. So my questions are, I guess I should say, do you remember any specific game from your youth that you never finished? Do they haunt you, or did you simply move on? Would you recommend grabbing an old copy of Silver to prove to myself that I could still do it? Have you done the same, or is it wasted time that could be spent on possibly more exciting games?
Sure. Got it. First of all, to answer this last question, don't give up.
Yeah.
Try to do it. Game pops in my head immediately that I still have not beat to this day, my entire life, is Castlevania 3 on NES. Like the
We need to do
hardest-
this, Brad.
Like the hardest boss fight, like ever, at the end of the game is ridiculously insane, right, man?
Yeah, but like
Like I haven't
I think
played
it's
it in
like
a long time.
Castlevania 1
But-
could be up there too.
Like I beat Castlevania when I was little, but I could never beat 3.
Interesting.
I got a recent one, kind of recent.
Yeah.
Never beat it, and I like. I've never finished it, but for some reason, it's like my favorite Final Fantasy, and that's 12. Never finished.
Yeah, I never got this.
I know. I
never
know.
understood this.
I know. It's so weird, and I know, like, objectively, it's
Just the way
not
you sing
the
its
best.
praises.
I know it's not the best Final Fantasy, but
No, screw the haters. 12
Yeah.
is incredible
Like,
game.
when I got that game, it gave me almost a Dragon Quest VIII level of, like, love and fervor to play and explore and do all that.
Yeah.
And it was just so long, and, like, stuff came out, life happened, I just never finished it, and the love has never, it's never diminished. So I'm just waiting for that remake.
Yeah,
to get
I was
redemption.
Like, say, guess what? You get a second chance.
I'm getting that second chance.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
When I was young, I never finished games. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. I would get to a certain point, get frustrated, and stop. 100% of the time. Like, it was a moment if I finished a game. And as I got older, that really started to upset me. And I, like, was ashamed and angry at myself. So I made it a point to go back and finish a lot of the games that I really loved as a kid. And I did it. And it felt so, so, so good. Like, I could never beat a Mega Man game as a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, never could. And I can do it now, and it's not a big deal. Like, I couldn't beat Ninja Gaiden. And so going back and then playing through Ninja Gaiden on stream was great for me. And so I've definitely had that moment. Recently, I think there are just things that, like, I mean to beat, and I just don't for whatever reason. Not necessarily because of difficulty, but, like, still haven't finished Witcher 3. That's hurting my soul. Haven't finished Hyper Life Drifter. That's hurting my soul. Like, I definitely have marks of shame like that. How about you, Damiani?
Magician's Lord? No.
You beat Magician Lord!
With ultimate save states.
Yeah.
I remember that from my childhood. Actually, Ghostbusters NES.
Sure.
Which one?
They gave us
The original
bullshit.
One or two?
No.
Okay.
Original Ghostbusters NES.
Yeah, it's bad.
Just like
It's a bad game.
stairwell part. God, maybe
That
got past
is
that
bullshit. That part is bullshit.
Yeah.
Dude, oh my god.
Maybe once.
That is
I got
like
past that.
required turbo controller for that part.
And then then I played Ghostbusters 2 and beat that. I was like, wow, well, I guess they realized Ghostbusters 1 was so damn hard. You should probably not play it. It's like, cool box, looks just like the movie logo. I'm a kid, I'm
well,
gonna play this.
Ghostbusters 2 sucks too, but it's not as bad.
Ghostbusters 1 dies in the fire.
Yo, speaking of Witcher 3, newest PC gamer, they do it every single year. Top 100 games of all time. Every year they do it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, The Witcher 3.
Okay.
Bold move!
I
PC gamer.
need to say some things.
Bold
I need to
move!
say some things.
I
I booted. Okay.
I can't argue it, really, though.
Oh, I hear you. But
I wouldn't choose it, but I can't argue it.
But okay, like, I had such a hunger for Witcher 3. I booted it up last night and played it on PC, and I had been playing it on console before, and being able to play it on PC, like, even though I'm like 50 hours in the game, I think I might just start over on PC because it's so glorious. And just immediately the emotions between characters and the world that they built, I was like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that, like, I can envision a future where Witcher 3 is the greatest PC game of all time. Like, I'm not saying that it is.
Yeah.
I just, like, I would hear that argument, but we were talking about, like, giving things enough time.
Yeah.
You know,
it hasn't
I
been
think,
long
like,
enough to make that, like, number 1. Like, right now I wouldn't.
I think,
but, like
like
you said, you nailed it. Whereas, like, years from now, I might look back and be like, dude, Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games of all time.
totally. Like, there was a list not long after it came out where, like, they were like, Mass Effect 2 is the greatest RPG ever made. It's like, I love Mass Effect 2. I do, but give it some time, man. You're still high on those emotions, you know? Still thinking about the Baron. Like, just let it sit for a second. Whereas, like, something like Doom, right? Like, I know where that is in time and its importance and my feelings on it. Like, if I had enough time to process it. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like, I'm always hesitant to even say, like, rank Persona 4, because I feel like even that I haven't given enough time, you know?
Oh, I've given it enough time.
So...
Dachi!
I'm glad you beat that game. That
Me
makes me
too.
very happy.
I am
Me
too.
God, I felt good.
For like a world where Mike doesn't play any JRPGs I love.
Or handhelds.
Yeah.
I made it
He did it.
happen.
He did
I
it.
made it happen. There it is. That kind of is about the thing, about the question.
Yeah. Make it happen.
I made
That's
it happen.
the point.
Persona 4,
Yeah, make it happen.
I willed
You did it. You did it.
to happen
You did it.
because of these guys.
And okay, I just got to say something, because it's very often I get things that say, I checked out Yakuza because of you, I checked out Persona because of you, I checked out whatever because of you, or Huber or Brad or Damiani. It doesn't matter who it is. I see this stuff all the time, and they're always like, it was amazing. And so, you know, if you hear something that you're interested in, we're trying not to steer you wrong. You know,
Yeah.
like give it a chance and let's have a conversation about it because those are my favorite conversations to get into. But guys, you know what feeling I feel right now, and I'm not just saying this because we did a ramen episode. I feel full.
Just thinking that.
I
was
feel-
gonna say he feels full.
I feel
I'm full.
full. I do. I feel like we went places in this episode that I'm very happy with.
Covered a
I
lot of
love.
broad spectrums.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm bummed I didn't get to
I'm
bring up
happy.
Deus Ex though. It's gonna be this lingering like splinter. I had a lot to say about it,
I'm
but I don't want to
sorry.
spoil it anyway. Give it. I'll let it sit.
Let
for a
it
bit.
sit.
It's
Let it
brand
sit.
new.
It's brand new. I'm sure a lot
It's
of
a
people.
story-driven game.
Story-driven game. A lot of people haven't finished it. I'm sure. So next time.
Yeah.
We'll take a deep
You
dive.
can even do a Huber syndrome if you wanted on that whole thing.
Oh,
man.
I'm going to.
Okay.
The reason that I want to say I'm full is not to like pat ourselves on the back. That wasn't the point. The point is that I just wanted to say thank you to the amazing panel. Thank you viewers for sticking with us all this time. I just have been enjoying myself, and so that's all I wanted to
Fun
express.
Cup's the best.
If you want more of us and our rants and our loud voices, you can go to easyallies.com. There you will find links to our Patreon page, which is the absolute best way to support us and keep this train rolling. We are also on Twitch at twitch.tv/easyallies. We are also on YouTube at youtube/easyallies. You guys are so amazing, as Huber said. Best community. Couldn't ask for a better
insane.
one. I appreciate it so much.
Insane.
We will see you next time on Frame.